Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the story about what, if neglected Naruto hates Sarutobi council bashing naruhina. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by RPGuy777 and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1, Hate of Many the Will of One, A/N. For those who didn't read the chapter description, read this. This will be naruhina. It will have a mini harem, and I have taken this up in my spare time between chapter of Kitsune Kenjutsu. I will try to update it at least once or twice a month, but I make no guarantees. But as with any story, I do not plan nor will I ever want to give one up. This is only the first chapter of this story and will start it out. Like this on many facts, this will be different. My Naruto may take up Kenjutsu, he may not with Taijutsu. He will most likely be the same, but as you will read, lots of things will branch off due to a different storyline. Almost nothing will be the same. The village of Konoha, the supposed greatest of all the elemental land that had some of the most powerful ninjas in the world. That is how the village stood appeared on the outside, but for one person on the inside it was hell. Through all his sorrows he smiled. This was one of the only lessons he had learned while his mother was still around. He was the outcast of his own family. His mother didn't kill him, but she paid him no attention. She only had eyes for Hitomi, the golden child of Konoha. Naruto had no idea why he was hated while his twin sister was praised like Kami's greatest gift to man since life. Instead of doing nothing, he taught himself how to read, how to write, and spent long hours studying how to train. Through reading he found his first idol and the person he wanted to overcome while taking on his strength of will. This man was known for ending the bloodbath within the Uzumakis, known by many as the Kita no Toketsu Ryu. His true name was Kotenhai Uzumaki, the first and only member of the Uzumaki clan to have the wind and water chakra affinity. This is how he got this description. Like the fiercest of winters, he left everything frozen in his path. His nindo was persevere and fight for your people. So through all the hate, the glares, the anger, and the beatings, he persevered. He took it all with a smile on his face. When his mother and sister walked out of his life at the age of 6, he refused to shed tears. When they departed, he was only able to steal one scroll from the family library before he was discovered. It held the Uzumaki history and the clan jutsu. His mother didn't know what he was capable of. With nothing more than a glance back at him, she left him standing at the front of the house crying. He sobbed as his only family discarded him. Afterwards Naruto used this to make him stronger, and he continued to smile and to train. After a while Naruto learned of the Uzumaki bloodline Amatsukatsu. This bloodline allowed the natural elemental affinities of a person to combine and blend others perfectly without having to master the manipulation of the element. Through coincidence Naruto had acquired chakra papers. They had been a present left on his doorstep on his birthday. Every year a present was given to him by two different people, a mystery person and his friend Hinata. He and Hinata had been friends ever since he had saved her from bullies in her first year at the academy. She was Naruto's one true friend and the only person that looked past what other call him to see him for who he was. Word spread quickly, the Hyuga clan reject and the demon brat were friends now. They just couldn't have that now, could they? After only a week of being friends, Hinata and Naruto could no longer talk to each other. The Hyuga clan threatened Hinata with banishment, as well as the caged bird seal. They still talked and they still were friends, but in the public they were never allowed to be seen together or the consequences would be dire. The most devastating day in Naruto's young life since the abandonment of his mother was graduation from the Ninja Academy. When all was said and done, Hinata had passed with flying colors and he had not. All because of one jutsu that no matter how hard he tried, he just could not master. He just couldn't keep his chakra low enough to make that stupid Bunshin jutsu work. So he sat on the swing watching all the families greet the children. He looked on at the happy faces of the student that were now ninja and the glares of the parents at him. He wondered if he had a family that loved him, would he be accepted by the other people? He wanted a family that greeted him, that believed in him, and he wanted a friend that would forever stand by his side. Hinata had been that friend until she had been ripped away from him by some stupid clan and the academy's flawed system. Hinata was saddened that her friend and crush was being left behind. Her heart had broken when she saw him walk out of the academy without a headband. Whenever she would have a bad day, she would run to their secret spot, and he would be there. It was just beyond the Hokage monument in the forest. It was a field of flowers. Naruto had told her how to get there, and they always meet there. Hinata had first noticed her crush on her close friend 2 years after they met. Her father had just finished humiliating her in front of her sister and the clan elders. Her mother had passed just a week before after a terminal illness she had contracted with the birth of Hanabi. After beating her to within an inch of her life, He turned towards her, and with a sneer he said some of the most earth-shattering words she had ever heard. It seems that despite what your mother believed, it's true that you will never be fit to be the heir. To think that she had faith till the day she died, she must be rolling in her grave. After the intense session she had fled the compound to meet Naruto in their special place. He consoled her and built her confidence back up. No matter what her father did from that day forward could stop her. She grew and became stronger with every passing day, but hid it, planning to escape the clan by being too weak. Naruto and Hinata had wanted to pass and become ninjas so they wouldn't have to meet in secret, so they could instead train together on a team and walk around in public with each other, as you had to bond with your team, right? As Naruto still sat on the swing he saw Mizuki, the chunin that helped Irika in class. Hey Naruto, don't look so down. You know Irika's only hard on you because he doesn't want to see you get hurt, said the teacher's assistant. I know, but I wish there was some way I could be a ninja. I just can't seem to get that Bunshin Jutsu down no matter what I do, stated Naruto in a monotone Vyochi, which Mizuki found odd. He had never heard the demon brat sound so down. I don't know if I should be telling you this, but there is a special test that if you pass it, makes you genin. It's kind of like a stealth mission. Are you interested? Asked Mizuki. He knew Naruto couldn't resist an offer like this, it was what he lived for. The final piece had been laid out, and his plan was set. Skip to after Forbidden Scroll incident. Naruto sat in the Hokage's office while the Hokage went to Mizuki's interrogation. Naruto, now sporting a headband on his arm, sat in a chair. He looked at the Hokage's seat and walked over to it. He wanted to be Hokage for so long, and as he looked at the chair he couldn't help but sit in the chair now. He grinned excitedly. All he needed was the hat. Normally Naruto wasn't like this, but he was still a kid and he had dreams and thought it would be fun to pretend. He opened a drawer, only to find a letter with his name on it. Why did the old man have a letter with his name on it? I wonder what's inside. Naruto thought to himself. He opened it. He found a key and a letter. Dear Sochi, my son, I have placed in you the salvation of Konoha. The other countries during our short time of peace have started to grow tense. The nations are on the brink of war once more, after only a short time. I have placed in you the beast known as the Kyuubi to stop the threat of war. His attack was a blessing in disguise. You will be made a hero, the one to prevent war and stop the great Kyuubi. To think Jiraiya wanted to trap it in the subspace of my Jutsu Hiroshin, one tweak to the seal, and it would be stuck between world. No, you my son have become something that Konoha need, a shield and sword. Minato Namikaze, 4th Hokage aka Kiroi Senko of Konoha. P.S. The key is to the house. Enjoy it as it is all yours. I moved in with Kushina but kept my house next to the Hyuga clan. Ask the old man for your inheritance, he will know what it means. Naruto wouldn't believe it, he couldn't believe it. He backed up against the wall, accidentally hitting the portrait of the 4th Hokage. There fell a paper with a seal on it. It said, to the future Hokages. Naruto pulsed some chakra into this, want to find out more about his so-called father. A recording started to play with the image of Minato Namikaze. You must be the new Hokage. If everything has gone as planned, I am dead and Sarutobi has become the new Hokage. My son Naruto will have become a powerful weapon and an instrument of destruction. I know the villagers will not treat him as a hero, but hopefully that is what he believed I would want him to be. He will be a monster to everyone around him. Befriend him, make him loyal to Konoha and Konoha alone. I have damned my own son when I could have let the Kyuubi be trapped in subspace. Oh well, what is one nameless child to the suffering of 100 he could save? Naruto couldn't believe it. The reason he was beaten, the reason the only family he had left him, and the reason his friend Hinata couldn't see him was because his father had sealed the Kyuubi in his own son. Not only that, but he could have stopped it. He never believed Naruto was going to be a hero. He knew the villagers would lash out, and what to protect Konoha? Surely the Kiroi Senko would be feared for killing a beast that it would have stopped the war, but no, he instead sealed it in him. Naruto's emotions and his mask suddenly slipped, his red chakra bursting forth from his body. This man was not his father. How could a father be so stupid to think that he would be seen as a hero? No, this man was anything but a father. He was a plague, a disease, the man that had destroyed his life before he was even a day old. The Hokage came into his office only to feel a suffocating pressure coming from Naruto. He saw the envelope and key in Naruto's hand. The Hokage's eyes widened. Naruto, your faith! The Hokage was cut off before he even could finish. That man is not my father! I've had enough of names that have nothing to do with me! Shouted Naruto as red chakra leaked from him. From now on I am Naruto Uzuten, a man with no family. For all I care, my father was nothing more than a piece of trash that can rot in hell for all eternity. The Hokage was amazed. Never had he felt such hate and malice coming from his surrogate grandson. Naruto, you need to calm down, said the Hokage. The red chakra receded. You knew? Accused Naruto, his voice dripping with malice and his eyes gleaming with cold fury. You knew all along that this bastard was my father, and you never said a word. You even lied to my face, saying you didn't know who my father was. I trusted you, Ji-san, and you used that to your advantage. Just like he asked when he spoke through the seal, how dare you mess with my emotions. The happy Naruto of old was no more. A cold, calculating shinobi stood in his place, finally having enough of the bullshit he had been put through. Naruto, you have to understand, if people knew that you were the son of the fourth, it would become increasingly dangerous for you. I swear, Naruto, I didn't want this. I have tried everything to keep the villagers from attacking you. After all the things that have happened to you at the hands of the villagers, what do you think IWA would have done to you if they learned that a Namikaze was alive? Asked the Hokage. I understand, Gigi, that you followed this piece of trash's orders. But you did assign Anbu to protect me, so maybe I am wrong, so I will give you the benefit of the doubt for now. You don't have to worry about IWA finding out anymore, as I have already said, I am no longer a bastard Namikaze or an Uzumaki. I am my own, and I will create my own clan, the Uzuten clan, as is my right as a descendant of the bastard fourth. I demand the Namikaze estate. I will convert it into my clan compound, as it is rightfully mine, since my bitch of a mother gave up any claim to it when she left me to fend for myself in this godforsaken village. Also, I would like to ask a favor of you, Gigi. A friend and I were hoping that when we graduated we could be on the same team. She and I have had to keep it a secret that we were friends, and it would be increasingly difficult if she were to be on a different team than me. If you want to truly make up for all the shit this village has put me through, I want the Namikaze estate and to be allowed on the same team as Hinata Hyuga. Naruto, that is a lot to ask of me, but I believe I may be able to arrange that. Although you will have to join me in a council meeting, as you have just stated you wish to create a new clan, as well as claim the Namikaze estate. Sometimes, Naruto, you make me feel like a Nara with how troublesome you are. Nara compound. Shikamaru looked around suspiciously. Why do I feel like I want to shove a kunai down someone for calling a blonde troublesome? Troublesome, muttered Shikamaru as he laid back on the roof to watch the cloudy night sky while yawning. Time skipped 1 hour later, and several severely annoyed and sleepy council members later, Naruto sat next to the Hokage in a council room. I'm sure all of you wish to know why I have called you here, said the Hokage. As of tonight, the last remaining descendant of the Namikaze clan has requested his inheritance, and to make his own clan. The civilian council and the shinobi council started to mutter between themselves as they heard what the Hokage. Hokage-sama, excuse me, but why is that in here, and who is the last Namikaze? Screeched out a woman that looked like an older version of Sakura. Miss Haruno, I would kindly remind you that who I have accompanying me is none of your business, shouted the Hokage. But to put it simply, Naruto is the Namikaze heir, as his mother and sister left the village. He is the last Namikaze in the village of Konoha, and as an heir to a Hokage he is allowed to create his own clan. He is creating the clan of Uzuten. The Namikaze clan next to the Hyuga compound shall be converted tomorrow, and Naruto shall move in that night. The council just sat there with their jaws on the floor. They had been isolating and beating the Namikaze clan heir for years. Then Sukuna Haruno made the biggest mistake of her life. I propose an arranged marriage with Namikaze Naruto and my daughter so he may start rebuilding the Namikaze clan. Immediately the room temperature dropped several degrees as suffocating chakra filled the room that resonated from Naruto. Number 1, there shall be no arranged marriage between anyone I hate or don't want to marry. Number 2, I will not rebuild my bastard of a father's clan. As the Hokage said, I'm creating a clan and it is the Uzuten clan. And third, you have no power over me, civilian. And if anyone so much as threatens me to have me become breeding stock, I will destroy the seal on my body so the Kyuubi may finish what it started. I have put up with too much shit from this village already. A lot of it coming from most of the people in this room, said a cold Naruto. He stared down the council with a glare so cold any Hyuga would be jealous of. Most of the council was shocked, but one was weeping on the inside. Hyuga Hayashi realized what he had done years ago by forcing his daughter to stay away from her first real friend. Maybe he could somehow salvage this if he got Naruto on the same team as his daughter. At the end of the meeting, almost all of the council was in shock. They couldn't touch the blonde now that he was a ninja, and if they so much as threatened him they might as well have condemned Konoha. They had finally pushed him to the edge, and he wasn't going to stand for it anymore. Naruto was tired of the shit. He had thrown away the mask of the idiot. It was time to show them what he could do. In a burst of cold air, the blonde turned into an ice figure before crumbling into snow, showing an ice-based Shushin. If he already knew a high-level jutsu, what else did the blonde know? thought the council as the Hokage called the council meeting to an end. Mini skip 2 days later. The little secret about Naruto was out, and half the village was trying to kiss his ass. As a matter of fact, half the Uchiha fangirls had switched sides. Not that it mattered, as none of them could even so much as step foot on the compound Naruto owned without being ejected by a seal. Naruto hated all the ass kissing, but he just ignored most of it. The last 2 days had been glorious. No one had attacked him or vandalized his home, although an unconscious Uchiha was found slightly singed at the front gate of his house. Look, there's scum on my gate. I'll have to ask the Hokage to hire some genin to scrap this garbage off my gate, cackled Naruto as he opened the gate, walking past the obviously unconscious Uchiha. The first thing Naruto did was destroy all the photos of his family and any symbol for the Uzumaki or Namake's clan. He replaced them with his own newly designed crest, a white circle with a fox head in the middle with white wings surrounding it. Despite Naruto's deep hatred for his father, he decided to learn seals, if only to surpass the man Naruto was training when surprisingly enough Hinata showed up at his gate smiling. Naruto hadn't seen her smile like that since the day they became friends. Not that I'm totally unhappy that you're here, Hinata-chan, but won't you get in trouble if you're with me in public? Asked Naruto. He was pretty sure he knew why Hayashi, after finding out his heritage, had probably taken back the order he had given. You know why, Naruto. After all, when you revealed who you were, every clan in Konoha wants a piece of you. The air suddenly became tense. What I want to know is why you didn't tell me, Naruto-kun. Naruto noticed the tension in the air. I would have told you if I had known before 2 days ago. After all, you're my best friend, Hinata-chan, was Naruto's calm reply. Hinata smiled. At least she didn't have to stay in the clan compound as much. Her father had said that it would be good for her to get to know Naruto better. I also heard that you got your hideout because of special circumstances. Can you tell me what happened? Asked Hinata. Although Naruto was concerned that Hinata might not want to be his friend, he figured she would find out about it eventually, so he told his story. At the end, Hinata was hugging Naruto. I don't see how your father could do that to you and think the villagers would actually accept you. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there for you more, Naruto-kun. It's alright, Hinata-chan. How about we have a friendly spar? I haven't been able to stretch my limbs and cut loose for a while, said Naruto. Naruto-kun, not today. I've already been through a rough session with my father, said Hinata with a slight flinch. It was then he noticed that she hadn't been moving her left arm. Hinata-chan, can I see your arm? Asked Naruto, with a look of concern on his face. Hinata debated with herself before she rolled up her sleeve, showing large purple and yellow bruises up and down her arm where chakra points were. Naruto knew firsthand how damaging the gentle fist could be. Hinata-chan, why do you put up with him? You're always like this after these sessions with your father. Naruto took hold of her arm before he ran his hand down it. Hinata-chan, you should really see a doctor about this. I guess it can't be helped. Naruto pricked his finger with a kunai and ran it over the infected areas before he rubbed it into the bruised areas. It slowly started to look better. They were now in the final stages of healing, although the skin was still tender. Well, at least we know how you got your healing abilities. Your blood really does work better than any ointment I've ever made, said Hinata. Hinata and Naruto talked until supper. He asked Hinata to have dinner with him, but she declined. It wasn't that he couldn't cook, it was just that it was getting late, and Hinata had to get home. Midnight dreamscape Naruto. Naruto walked through a sewer with blood for water. He had never had a dream like this before, it was so weird. He noticed a red glow coming from a room as he walked. A row of doors became visible. One was labeled good memories, the other bad memories. The good memories shined like gold, and it looked like a manor's door. The bad memories were locked behind a door with chains all around it, and bars at the top that glowed in eerie blood red. Naruto continued and saw many doors. He found a few were shattered and he didn't know why. As he made it to the end, he found a cage with seal written on a piece of paper. As he came closer, he saw a woman wearing a flowing red kimono with white lotuses all over it. When she saw Naruto, her eyes narrowed. She went to lunge at him, only to be blasted back from the bars. She growled at the bars that kept her from rending the yondaime to pieces, only to find the boy was too short and his face was different than the yondaime's. What do you want, brat? Spat out the Kyuubi with distaste in her silky voice. I don't want anything. Hey, you haven't happened to see a large male fox in here with 9 tails, have you? Asked Naruto. The Kyuubi's eyes fumed red and 9 tails came from behind her. You little brat. How dare you think I am a man? I am the most beautiful and sought-after demoness in the entire universe, and you dare think that I, the great queen of all bijou, am a male? When I get out of here I'm going to rip you off and shove it so far down your throat it comes out your, shouted the QB, as she pounded at what seemed to be a barrier between the bars. God damn this sewer! God damn these fucking bars! It's all that bastard's fault, and I get imprisoned for it. Hey, mind telling me what you're talking about? Asked Naruto. Why are you still here? Are you trying to laugh at my misery? Why don't you leave me alone? Shouted the demoness as large energy waves started to crash against the bars. Well, tell me how to leave and I'll gladly leave you the fuck alone. Naruto spat back angrily at her. Get out of here! A large blast of energy made Naruto fly out of the area and shook him awake. Real world. Naruto awoke with a start. He looked over to his clock and found that it said 2. Naruto groaned. He still had 4 hours before he had to wake up and go to meet his team. He found out he has this beast sealed inside him, and she's pissed at him. What the hell did he ever do to her? It's not like he wanted her to be sealed in him in the first place. It wasn't really his choice after all. Damn that man, thought Naruto, as he put a pillow over his head and tried to drift back to sleep. In another 4 hours he would get his team. Just wait, I'll show you all what I can do. I have persevered and been tempered in the flames of their hate. I will show them that even though they hate me, they are all precious. I will never back down. I will never stop until they see me for who I am, said Naruto as he laid there in bed. He possessed the will of one and the strength to force through the hate and become stronger. Because after all, if you let hate consume you, it only makes you weak. Chapter 2, Fox of Hell and Team 11. Okay, first off I need to say thank to Flamius that this chapter as well as the last chapter would not be edited and ready as it is now. Second, I have changed the scene with Naruto in the Hokage's office slightly. It will not be redone. I know it isn't perfect, but I addressed the one thing that someone reviewed about, as it was a valid concern, and I will try to make everything that need to be addressed. Naruto awoke to the light of a new day. Thanks to the visit with the QB the night before, he had awoken at 2 with a pounding headache. He had managed to fall asleep again, but more sleep didn't seem to help him in any way. He yawned and stretched. I wonder if this headache is anything like the hangovers Nikone-san talks about. Naruto questioned to himself. He remembered talking to one of the only A and B that actually did their job of watching over him, not like Hinata who left him to fend for himself. He walked over to the closet to see the orange monstrosity he had worn for as long as he could remember. He took it out of the closet with a smile and cut the back of it open, revealing a pouch that had something hidden in it. He took a scroll from the pouch. I think it's time for a change of attire, stated Naruto. On the scroll there was a seal. He had these made a while back by one of the few clothing stores that didn't hate him. Naruto broke the seal and a large amount of clothing flooded out of the closet in various shades of red, black, and blue. A lot of things stood out, like the blue undershirt mixed with mesh or the pure black A&BU vest with matching gloves, or even the fox mask with the red eye holes. The mask had been a gift from Nico-san. Naruto dug a box out of the pile of clothes. Inside it was a hooded blood-red trench coat. Naruto had it made and tailored the day before. On the back was his clan symbol with the kanji for ice underneath it. He threw the orange atrocity away in the metal trash can outside. There was a metallic clink from the weights inside it. Today Naruto picked out a black, mesh undershirt to wear beneath his coat. The A&B gear he left, he was only going to wear that for missions, but he strapped the black fox mask to the side of his trench coat. His pants were A&BU style, and he wore black boots. He had all of these except for the trench coat tailored 5 months ago. They fit with a little room for him to grow further into them. There was also a pair of black leather gloves. He put his weapons pouch on his A&BU pants, which contained wire, explosive tags, a few kunai and shuriken, and some special weapons he had ordered. The remaining things Naruto sealed back into the scroll and put them in his weapons pouch just in case he needed anything else. When Naruto arrived at the academy, his classmates' mouths hit the floor. Here was Naruto in an outfit that didn't have one sliver of orange. Some were wondering where he got the creepy fox mask. Hinata smiled. She had seen all of this before. As a matter of fact, she had helped him find a shop that held no hate for him. As he walked in, he smiled. No one had ever seen this smile. It was like he had a secret that no one else knew about. What happened 3 seconds later would be forever declared as the most unbelievable stealth prank of the century. Ino and Sakura ran into the room screaming, the voice triggering a mechanism that fired paint balls at their face that made them look like clown. Next, Sasuke Uchiha had a necklace that dropped from the sky around his neck that said number 1 Yaoi fan. Sasuke screamed as several guys from the class tried coming on to him. The entire class minus Sasuke's fan club started to laugh. When Sakura saw this, she went to punch Naruto, but he caught her fist in his hand and stared her down with cold, lifeless eyes before he started to apply pressure on her wrist, bending at a weird angle. Sakura knelt on the ground, pain evident on her face. Don't expect me to take shit from a weak fangirl. I'm tired of acting like you have any significant value in life. As far as I'm concerned, you are the weakest bug on this planet. You have no right to hit me because your own stupidity didn't allow you to duck, he said as he applied even more pressure. Sakura was now whimpering in pain while the rest of the class was in shock. This wasn't the Naruto they knew. The Naruto they knew would let Sakura hit him and do anything to gain her favor, not matter what he had to do. Ino tried to attack the blonde only for Naruto to move Sakura into the attack, causing Ino to deck Sakura in the face. Naruto then appeared behind Ino, making her gasp as he grabbed her by the back of the neck. When Sakura couldn't hit me, what made you think you could? You two are the most pathetic excuses of kunoichi I have ever seen, going on diets when training should be enough, caring about your looks more than how strong you are. You both should drop out of the ninja program and allow better qualified individuals move on, stated Naruto coldly before he threw Ino, causing her back to hit a wall. As Ino coughed, she asked, "What makes you any better? You couldn't even perform a bunshin." "That because I have near Jounin level chakra, which none of you here have besides myself. So tell me, how was I supposed to get it low enough to create that useless jutsu? I have been doing chakra control exercises before I was even in the academy, but that doesn't matter if you have the chakra capacity I have. What's your excuse for being so weak that you wanted Sasuke to notice you're pathetic? He isn't going to save you when an enemy ninja comes to slit your throat. If you are truly the heiress to the Yamanaka clan, the clan is doomed to fall apart. When you can stand up to me, then you can call me dead last. So far all I see is a weak little girl with wasted potential," said Naruto as Iruka walked in, noticing knocked out Sakura and heavy-breathing Ino that looked like her world had been shattered. "Naruto, what did you do to them?" questioned Iruka when he noticed how serious Naruto was before he relaxed. "Why, I only defended myself, Iruka-sensei," he said as he let the seriousness drain out of him as he sat down next to a smiling Hinata. Ever since the beginning of the academy, she had hated how they had treated Naruto. It seemed he had dropped his mask finally. She still had a little longer. She couldn't let her family believe she was strong after all the time she had hidden. Now why let her father see how strong she was now? Iruka sighed. "Would everyone please sit down so I can name the teams?" Everyone got into their seat, but most of them were paying more attention to Naruto than anything, trying to figure out who he really was. If anything was certain, this wasn't the Naruto they all knew. He was actually calm. He didn't wear orange anymore, and what was even weirder, he seemed to hold power that he had not before. Shikamaru was contemplating what was going on. He could only come to one conclusion to support everything that had happened, that this was the real Naruto. The other one had been nothing but a mask. From what he could tell, this Naruto must have hid under multiple layers, the personalities vastly different. For a mask like that to shatter would cause either a major shock that destroyed it completely, or over a long time it would slowly come down. So what had happened that had rocked Naruto to the very core to make him drop the mask? As far as he could tell, none of this personality had shown itself till today except for a few here and there. Iruka started to call out teams. Naruto didn't pay attention to it mostly until Team 7. Team 7 will be Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Sesshomaru. Your sensei is Kakashi Hatake. Team 8 will be Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburama, and Yakumo Kurama. Your sensei is Kurina Yuhi. Team 9 is still in circulation, so Team 10 will be Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Chuji Akimichi. Your sensei is Asuma Sarutobi. Finally, Team 11 will be Naruto Uzuten, and Hinata Hyuga. As there is an odd number, you two will be training under Yugao Yuzuki. Sensei, I thought Naruto's last name was Uzumaki? Asked a random genin. Naruto, due to certain circumstances, has been allowed to create a clan, and in doing so changed his name as it is allowed, said Iruka. A Nico Anbu appeared in the door. I have been asked by the Hokage to pick up Hinata Hyuga and Naruto Uzuten. The Hokage wished to have them meet their sensei there. Naruto and Hinata left before another word was said. The Anbu had disappeared shortly after she gave her message. Hinata and Naruto made it to the Hokage Tower in a short amount of time. As they entered the Hokage's office, they found the Nico Anbu and the Hokage standing. May I introduce you to your sensei, Nico-san? Remove your mask, said Sarutobi before the Anbu did just that. It's been a long time, hasn't it, Naruto? Said Yugao as she watched the young boy she thought of as a son. I always wondered what you looked like, Nico-ne-chan, said Naruto. Naruto, I'm now your sensei, and I am no longer am Nico. Since I am no longer an Anbu, call me Yugao-sensei or Yugao-ne-chan in private, stated Yugao with a smile on her face. Naruto-kun, how do you already know our sensei? Asked Hinata as she knew he didn't have any siblings. Oh, you remember when I told you I was protected by some ANBU when I was young? Well, Yugao Sensei was my favorite because she would talk to me and teach me things. She was one of the very few that ever actually made sure I was protected. Was Naruto's simple response. The Hokage raised an eyebrow. I did not know Naruto was so important to you, Yugao. I now see why you retired from ANBU this year instead of the last few. Naruto, Hinata, please meet me in training ground 15 in 30 minutes. I need to have a word with Hokage-sama, stated Yugao calmly voice, although her eyes showed something indescribable. Naruto and Hinata left the room, Naruto wondering why his Nei-san needed to talk to the Hokage. As Hinata and Naruto walked out of the tower and to the training area, Hinata asked what kind of person their sensei was. With Yugao, you know very well I'm interested in Naruto. You are the one who denied my request to adopt him 6 times. How dare you act like I have no interest in him? If it wasn't for you, then he would have grown up with someone who actually cared for him, and not to mention I would have stopped what happened on his 10th birthday. The only reason you're letting me be his sensei is because if you didn't, I was going to retire from the ninja forces completely. If I hadn't, you wouldn't have given a shit what team he was placed on. Hell, you would have probably put him on the Kakashi's team with the Uchiha and Haruno if he hadn't found out, stated Yugao, pure fury radiating from the woman. The Hokage stared at Yugao with dead eyes. That little shit needs to learn its place. If I hadn't had it treated badly, then it wouldn't be loyal to only me. What would have happened if Danzo got a hold of the little brat? Then what? Know your place, Joun, and don't overstep your bounds, or we may find ourselves one less ninja in this room, and I don't think it's going to be me, do you? I did what was best for the village. You would do well to remember that. If I find this leaked, well, let's just say that there are worse punishments than death, stated the Hokage. I have worked along these past almost 13 years for you to get in my way, and I know how to get rid of problems in my village. I understand, Hokage-sama, gritted out Yugao as she stared at the man in front of her. He didn't deserve the title of Hokage. He played the part of a kind old man to Naruto, but that was to keep him obedient. If Yugao had the chance, she would have taken Naruto away from this place. While Naruto thought of her as a sister, she thought of him kind of like a son. She had seen him cry himself to sleep at nights, taken him to the hospital, given him gifts on his birthday, and even listened to his problems. After the Hokage had found out about it, she had been replaced on the team that protected him, but she still visited on her days off. Flashback: Naruto age 7, Yugao age 15. Naruto ran from a mob, but as soon as the mob cornered him in the alleyway, "Kill the demon, kill the Kyuubi brat!" screamed the angry mob. Before one of the many villagers bashed Naruto's head in with a bat. For attacking an innocent child and for breaking the law of the Sandaime for the good of Konoha, I hereby sentence you to death, stated a ANBU that had suddenly appeared before Naruto. Before, almost in a blur, the civilians suddenly were all cut into several different areas. One tried to move, only for the upper half of his head to slide off. All the rest fell over dead as the ANBU had just disappeared from view before she reappeared, her blade drawn, not a stain of blood on, save for a few specks on it. She gave it a quick flick before the blood flew off the blade before she sheathed it. She took Naruto home, where she looked over the blonde. For some reason, when he awoke, she didn't flee. Instead, she stayed there. Naruto, on reflex, had tensed as he felt someone near him. He opened his eyes to see an ANBU, and with an almost dead voice he asked her one question that blew her away. "Are you here to try and kill me too? What will it be this time? A kunai to my throat, a katana to my heart, or will you finally chop my head off and end the suffering I have had to endure all my life? What will it be, Nico?" asked the almost completely broken boy before he was enveloped in a hug. This was one of the few moments he had not prepared. He was prepared to die, to leave this world and never return, to accept death's blissful reprieve from a world that was cruel and uncaring. That night the boy, who was on the edge of a dark abyss that would have swallowed him whole, was brought back. So with a little help his nindo was renewed to preserve her, if only to find others that would accept him. From that day on, Nico came back as often as she could. On several times she had tried to adopt the boy, only for the Hokage to tell her the last time if she didn't stop he would have to pull her ANBU status. It had been the 6th time to ask and be rejected. It was just past Naruto's 10th birthday when the Sandaime found out Yugao was seeing Naruto even when she wasn't on duty, so the Sandaime told some other ANBU to summon her. Nico walked into the Hokage's office. "Nico, you have been visiting Naruto Uzumaki after scheduled hours of protection. What is the meaning of this?" questioned the Hokage. "Sir, several of the ANBU that are stationed to guard the boy are not doing their job," stated Yugao. "That is why I have them stationed there. They aren't supposed to protect the boy. You are the one that I thought I would have the least problem with. I thought it would be Inu to be the bleeding heart of the group. The ANBU are there to make him feel safe but disappear soon after. With how the Kyuubi took your parents from you and your friends, I would have thought you would help. It seems I will have to reassign you. You will now be assigned to the Stealth and Assassination Division of ANBU until further notice." stated the Hokage. Just as everyone else, the Hokage had joined the band of hateful many that struck at the one with the will to stand against their hate. Back at Training Ground 15, Naruto and Hinata arrived on time to see their sensei sitting in a tree looking at them. I believe we didn't get to introduce ourselves, so let's start with that, said Yugao. The hate and anger she was feeling for the Hokage now hidden behind a mask as she jumped to the ground. Hinata looked at her sensei. Why don't you go first, sensei? Okay, I am Yuzuki Yugao and my likes are kenjutsu, hanging out with Kurenai, Anko and Myoturo, and spicy food. Made up, couldn't find anything more. My dislikes are people that think women are weak and helpless, and people who are abusive of others. My hobbies are training in my kenjutsu and reading. My dream is to help you two become excellent ninja. You next, Naruto, said Yugao. I am Naruto Uzuten and I like practicing in my bloodline, ninjutsu, and taijutsu. I also like to hanging out with Hinata-chan and my Wani-chan. My hobbies are making new jutsu and gardening. I dislike my original family and people who treat others badly or those that lie to your face. My dream, well, that's a secret, stated Naruto. It was then that Hinata realized that during all the time she had known him she had never asked what his dream was. He seemed to always to change the subject. You're next, Hinata-san, said Yugao. I am Hinata Hyuga. I like practicing my taijutsu and hanging out with Naruto-kun. My hobbies are flower pressing and cooking. My dislikes are those that call others weak and that are arrogant because of their bloodlines. My dream is to become a strong kunoichi and get the attention of a certain someone, stated Hinata while she looked at Naruto, who was deep in thought. Yugao smiled. Well then, I guess it's time for me to give you the real genin exam then. You two have from 12 till 3 to take this bell from. If one of you doesn't, I will have to send you both back to the academy. The one without a bell will go back immediately. Well, that is troublesome. Looks like I already failed then because I refuse to take a test that divides and pits me against Hinata, stated Naruto before Hinata nodded. I would rather fail than fight Naruto when this should be a team effort, stated Hinata. Yugao then smiled. Well, that is disappointing. I don't even get to test you. You both pass. Ha, I knew it, said Naruto. What a bunch of shit, seeing as there has never been a team like that. Sure, there is sometimes two-man teams due to an odd-numbered amount of people who passed. But eventually they are joined by a graduating student that would do good in the cell. The only time that there is one person on a team is an apprenticeship. Indeed, you are correct, Naruto, but I am curious as to how you know the workings of teams, asked Yugao. That's easy, Hinata, and I have watched and even trained with a few different teams in the past few years, stated Naruto with a fox-like smile plastered on his face. I see. Well then, you shouldn't have a problem with a little demonstration of your abilities as a team. If you do well enough, maybe we won't have to waste our time on those worthless D-rank missions. So show me what you can do, said Yugao as she drew her katana and watched as Naruto and Hinata got into a fighting stance. Yugao raised an eyebrow. Most fresh genin would jump to the trees hoping to hide and analyze their opponent, but neither of them moved more than an inch. Why do you not hide to form a plan? Questioned the purple-haired Exambu. Why, when surprise would serve no purpose to us? The time to set up for an ambush has long passed, and to fight a Yanbu from long range with weapons would be pointless, stated Naruto as Hinata smiled. Besides, whoever said we were even here? Stated Hinata as they disappeared in a poof of smoke, only for Yugao's eyes to go wide when she had to dodge a quick Chukin strike to her back by spinning out of the way only to block a kunai in Naruto's hand now at her side. When she suddenly saw several Narutos all coming at her with kunai, she slipped into a quick kenjutsu stance before unleashing a flurry of slashes that made all but two of the opponents poof into smoke. Hinata and Naruto grimaced. They thought of this possibility, but unfortunately it seemed the plan they had set up had failed. Even though we set up for this, it seems we were still thwarted. No matter, it seems we will just have to try a little harder, stated Hinata as she took off her jacket and threw it to the ground, making a thud sound showing it had more weight than a normal jacket. Underneath the jacket was a long-sleeved black shirt with the Hyuga symbol on the back. Naruto sighed as he slipped his trench coat of letting it fall to the ground and sink into it slightly. I guess it can't be helped. Hinata's stance changed. She was no longer in the traditional stance, but instead she was in a stance her mother had several times tried to integrate into the Hyuga, although it was denied, as it was more suited for female Juken users with the natural flexibility, and less rigged. It was perfect for Hinata. Naruto started making hand signs. Hayatan, frozen stance. The ground froze, going to where Yugao stood only to hold her in place when Hinata appeared in front of her. Byakugan, activating with no hand signs. You're in range of my field of divination secret Hyuga technique, nerve desolation. Hinata started to rain blows only for Yugao to turn into a log. The log seems to have large to finger indentations about 2 to 3 inches deep. Yugao now a good distance away. Very nice technique. I've never seen a Hyuga use that technique before. That because it's mine. After all, I had to spare with Naruto, and he can unlock his tenketsu, so I had to work with nerves instead, stated Hinata as she stared at her sensei with a frown on her face. She hadn't seen her use substitution. Yugao dodged a Naruto before kicking it to the side. Come now, I thought you were better than this. ICD ranks are as far as you two will go for now. Naruto appeared in front of her, and started to engage her in taijutsu. He was a lot faster than before, and for some odd reason her arm she was deflecting him with was starting to go numb, and it felt really cold. That when she remembered his jutsu he had used ice, she quickly jumped back only for Hinata to be waiting for her before she disabled her legs. Yugao knelt. Very good, you two. I'm impressed. Not many genin can take on an ANBU even at 15% their normal strength, said another. Yugao walked out of the forest as the one they were fight crumbled to dust. Naruto's jaw hit the floor and Hinata was in disbelief. They had been fighting a clone for the past 25 minutes. Don't feel bad, after all I've been an ANBU for almost 6 years now. You don't live that long without being really good at what you do. Hinata, that was an impressive style. What was it called? Asked Yugao. It's a variation of the jukin called the gentle breeze. My mother taught it to me before she passed away, telling me to preserve it so that part of her would live on through me, stated Hinata. Naruto, that style is the white lily step of the Uzumaki, isn't it? Asked Yugao. Yes, but I'm taking it as the Uzuten style since it was one of the scrolls that was left behind, seeing as it was the only copy and hasn't been part of that clan style in a long time, seeing as people with the water and wind affinity are the only ones that can use it, and there hasn't been one in generations, said Naruto. He didn't like that it had originally been part of his mother's clan techniques, but the Kita no Toketsu Ryu, his role model, had used it, and even created it. You know, you two are very well tuned at working together. It would have been a crime not to put you both on the same team. You always seem to know what the other is going to do, without communication, so I think team bonding won't be hard. So instead of fine-tuning your teamwork, we will be working on the stuff most teams don't until they get to know each other better. But I'm still going to have to make you do a few D ranks, considering there is a set amount you have to do before you do a C rank mission, stated Yugao. Meet back here at around 9 tomorrow. We will do some light warm-ups and then a mission before we train. After that the team went their separate ways, Hinata having to meet her father, and their sensei had to report to the Hokage. When Naruto got home, he decided he would try and clear his thoughts by meditating, only to find that he got sucked into his mind the second he had lost himself to his meditation. Mindscape. Damn it, this place again. Might as well find that fox again so I can get the hell out of here, he said to himself as he wandered through the blood-filled corridor of his mind. Soon he heard some calm breathing coming from down the way, only to find the female fox demon asleep in the cage, slumped against one of the bars of her prison. She felt a pair of eyes on her, and her crimson-red eyes shot open as she got up. Her silver hair trailed seemed to flow with her, with the 9 flowing foxtails she that seemed to bristle in anger at the sight of Naruto. Her red-slitted eyes narrowed on the blonde. What the hell do you want, brat? Didn't I already tell you to leave? Stated the woman in a much calmer voice than she was last time. I'm sorry for thinking you were a man last time. It wasn't right of me to think you were a man. I think though that you want something I want as well, so I propose a deal, stated the blonde. The QB raised a brow at this human that dared speak to her about deals when he should be on bended knee thanking her for allowing him in her presence. What could a mortal ninja want that I myself want? I have everything I need, and when you die I will have it all again. It's only a matter of time before I return. In maybe a century I will be free from my prison and well on my way to reforming. So Ninjin, do tell me, what could I possibly want from you? How about an early release, or perhaps the destruction of the Yondame's most precious people like his daughter and wife? Asked Naruto. How do you expect to release me? Will you rip the seal off so that I may be released? She asked, eyeing the boy in front of her. You and I know that will kill me, so no, what I propose is more of a way for me to allow you out of the seal without killing me, like undoing the seal slowly over time. Of course, that is what would happen when I turn 21 anyway, but when I turn 21 the seal will start to siphon all your power and your soul until there's nothing left, and it will all become mine, stated Naruto. This shocked the QB. That's not true. This would have to be a seal of the Shinigami to do that, and those seals have been lost for near 3 centuries. Stated the QB before she remembered the battle with the Yondaime, and the horrifying image of the Shinigami through the blood-induced haze she had been on that night 13 years prior. What do you get in return for releasing me? Asked the QB. Oh, nothing much. I just want you to help me with my training and helping me with the resurrection of Yuzugakure, the destruction of Konoha and my bitch of a mother and sister, and for you to not hurt those precious to me. If you promise this, then our deal shall be complete, stated Naruto. You know, Ninjin, I may actually enjoy making this deal with you very well. I give you my word as a demon that I will assist you in this if you find a way to release me from this seal. Now leave, I want this process done as soon as possible. Stated the Kyuubi as she tried to force him out of his mind. Naruto held himself in place. Wouldn't you like for me to make this place a little more comfortable before I leave? Asked Naruto. Kyuubi was once again surprised when the bars vanished and the area turned into a field full of live trees and animals of various types and size. Appeared mountains and a river, with 2 moons overhead with stars that shined bright. It looked like something out of this world, almost like a heavenly planet. Why did you do this for me, Nijin? Asked Kyuubi. Well, that's easy because the unsealing will take time and I wouldn't want someone who's actually going to help me be uncomfortable. I don't recommend going to the Hall of Memories. You have access now, but my life wouldn't interest you. Stated the blonde, making the Kyuubi curious at why a human wouldn't flaunt how great it was like the rest of its kind. Not that they were. Thank you, Naruto. Stated the Kyuubi before she forcibly ejected him from his mind. Now alone she looked out over the landscape and for the first time in almost 12 years she smiled and ran just so she could feel the grass underneath her feet. Chapter 3. Treachery, Swords and Training. Somewhere hidden from the public and ninja village 3 elderly people stood. Danzo, the Kyuubi brat, is getting too close to the Hyuga heiress. What are you to do about this? Has your control over Sarutobi slipped? Asked an elderly woman with 2 pins in her hair that kept the bun in place. I agree with my teammate, this is most troubling. Danzo, is it wise to let the demon associate with the heiress of the Hyuga clan? Simply by letting it into the academy it was a bad choice. Why not just adopt it into your root organization? Asked the elderly man next to the woman, the man with the bandages covering a good amount of his body and face. His gaze gave nothing away, like this was a casual talk, like he had no concern in the world. But Sarutobi has openly opposed me, and the only way to get Naruto into roots would have been to make it seem like he was killed, but his genetic structure won't integrate with any of the corpses, even the fake ones. If Sarutobi was to ever agree to something he so violently opposes, such as handing over Naruto for me to train him into the perfect drone, this would raise suspicion. Already the council finds that Itachi killing his clan was not something that would normally happen. So tell me, my old friends, what is wrong with letting some of the things that have happened pan out so far? I have Naruto in check. He is loyal to Sarutobi and Sarutobi is under my control, so through him Naruto is also under my thumb, so to speak. I cannot mess with most missions, but I can make sure he stays loyal. So there is nothing to worry about. It is amazing what the Sharingan can do, stated Danzo as a red glow appeared for a moment behind the bandages that covered one of his eyes. But Danzo, is there nothing we can do? Surely hindering them a little. Perhaps having the Kyuubi transferred to Kakashi's squad would be effective. You know how he is with the brat. The death of his sensei, and the loss of his lover to the beast. Despite him knowing the truth that the little brat is Minato's son, surely he would be willing to take the child as he wished to hinder his progress slowly, said the elderly man, once more trying to find something to hinder the brat. But you see, Naruto found something he was not to find, and his trust, while still strong with Sarutobi, is a little damaged, and was only repaired by allowing him to have the Hyuga on his squad. Sarutobi still has his loyalty. Not only did he set Naruto up with a sensei Naruto is so close to, but he also gave Naruto his truest wish. A friend with which he has known and trained with for so long is now on his team. Yes, Hinata Hyuga is Naruto's only friend. If Sarutobi had denied the request, Naruto would have denied the headband he was given, left the village, and we would not be able to send Hunter Ninja after him. Even now, having Naruto in the ninja program is beneficial, as he will become stronger and more loyal to Konoha. He will prove himself, to earn his own name, and to completely surpass his mother and father, if only to spite his father and mother. A father that sealed the very beast that took so many of Konoha's loved ones away. A boy's mother that was forced to abandon him to the village, although with all her strength she could not stay. Neglected by the same mother for the sister he could never go near. The plan is set. He shall be loyal to those that care for him, for he has no one that does but for the few in the village. So tell me, why should I hinder Naruto when he could be our greatest weapon? Stated Danzo with the casual tone that he always had. The 2 elders looked at on understanding that Danzo was right. Unless he outlived everyone in Konoha or Sarutobi died, there was no way to get the Kyuubi into Danzo's program. And at this point, now that he was on a team, he may not even take to the training anymore. Hidden Anbu training ground. It has been 3 months since then. Yugao Sensei had pushed Naruto and Hinata to the very limits of insanity, both in physical and mental limits. Yugao had went so far as to start teaching them in Kenjutsu. Hinata wasn't into the art of the sword, but Naruto loved it. Yugao tried to teach Naruto in her style, but for some reason, even though his basics were flawless, the style just didn't seem to suit his personality or build. He couldn't progress any further than the basics. Miraculously, though he had found a scroll that was really old and fragile looking, he told her he had been wandering the training fields and stumbled across it, but in reality, Kyubi had told Naruto of a hiding place near Konoha that had been burial ground of a most ancient shinobi, one that had been strong since before the clans came to form and war amongst themselves. He had found the tomb, and in it the scroll on a style called Falling Snow. What amazed Naruto even more was the beautiful swords that scattered the floor of the tomb, but for some reason a pile of swords called out to him after moving the katanas out of the way. He found a blade that almost called out to him as if it was meant for him, and as soon as he picked it up he felt like a part of him that had been missing from him suddenly flooded into him, and he felt stronger and more whole than he had in his entire life. When he unsheathed the blade he found it to be the purest white with a design of vines that started where the purest black guard was. A pure white, and what looked to be two foxes chasing the other in a never-ending circle. The scabbard was black while the hilt was white. Over the past 3 months Kyubi and Naruto had started to get along to the point where Naruto had learned the Kyubi's real name. He found out that she was called Yuki. The fact that a demon that was named after something like snow had made Naruto snicker, except now that he had removed the bars it allowed Yuki to smash him into a tree with but a flick of one of her tails. In his mind, to be honest, real or fake, getting slammed into a tree really hurt. He was fine when he left, but he made a mental note not to upset a demoness that could fling you into trees like it was nothing. For these past 3 months Naruto was trained in the art of the falling snow to where Yugao was actually put on the defensive. Of course she was holding back, but it was remarkable how fast he was progressing. Hinata, however, had come far as well. Her understanding of her mother's style was amazing. She was also well versed in Suiton jutsu. It seems she had a major Suiton with a light Raiton affinity to back it up. Except for bloodlines that normally gave user 2 affinities, this was highly uncommon, bordering on the rarest possibilities to happen. She had actually had to ask Asuma to train Naruto in wind exercise, although he was already pretty far, while she had to go to Kurenai for the lightning affinity. Just because she specialized in genjutsu didn't mean she didn't have a Raiton affinity. Although she didn't use jutsu as much, she made sure she had a backup if genjutsu failed her. Along with ration training, Kurenai had tried to get Hinata to learn genjutsu, but she had declined, saying she didn't want to learn how to make illusions. Hinata was progressing with her Raiton very well, much the disliking of her clan that believed only clan techniques were needed for a Hyuga to be great. Now with Naruto, it had been one of the rare days that Naruto's team had a day off, right now, and he was laying on his back in a tree reading his father's book of seals. Naruto had read over his father's seals and continually looked for a way to release Yuki, but every time he looked, he was stumped. Yuki-chan, is there anywhere I can actually go to study the seal near Konoha? Is there no one who can help me find out how to release you without killing me? There has to be a way to undo the seal, thought Naruto to Yuki through the now mental link he had with her. Yuki was suddenly extremely quiet after he asked. Naruto appeared in his mindscape. What's wrong? You know a way to unseal the seal, don't you? Asked Naruto as Yuki looked at Naruto and seemed to be debating with herself about something. Yes, stated Yuki, although she was debating on whether or not telling him about what it was it could kill him. Could she really let something like that happen to one she cared for so much? So how do I undo the seal? Asked Naruto, but the answer he got shocked him. There is one way to undo the seal, but it is very dangerous, and it may have certain side effects. I'm sorry, I can't let you do it, Naruto, said Yuki with a commanding voice, signifying there was no way that she would allow him to use the method. Why don't you tell me, Yuki, and let me decide for myself? Stated Naruto, knowing that Yuki would sometime let him win the argument if he pressed a little further before he caught the hurt and angered look in her eyes. I have told you no, and you will not debate this with me, Naruto. Your life is too important to risk using this method. You have become my only friend in a millennia, and despite the fact you are human, you mean more to me than my freedom, so, until you have resigned yourself to not ask me of this again, be gone. Came the booming voice of Yuki that sent Naruto flying out of his mindscape and back to real life. He awoke to find he didn't know where the mental link was. This was the first time either had shut the mental link on each other since they had it opened on the night they made the deal. Naruto suddenly realized that he was falling toward the ground. The shock of the force eviction from his mindscape had made him jump a little, and he found the ground closing in fast. Just as he was about to hit the ground face first, he flipped and landed on his feet. Naruto sighed and walked out into the middle of the training field and took out his sword and made several kage bunshin. 50 of them poofed into existence, and he started to go through the katas of his style from beginner to intermediate. Every 30 minutes he would dispel 10 clones and start over again, each time getting better and better. Finally, after a few hours of this, he started his physical. By the end of the day, Naruto's entire body was sore. The fact that he had upped the weight in his cloak was on. One of the reasons why his body was so sore was the fact that running with twice your natural body weight was hard on the muscles and body. Today was probably one of the longest days he had so far. Yuki wouldn't talk to him, and while at times he didn't want to talk to her, he had gotten used to her being there talking to him and keeping him company. "You know I don't like to be spied on, especially when I'm working out," said Naruto as he blurred from vision, his cloak now on the ground. Seconds later an ANBU came flying out of a tree and landed face first on the ground, not stopping for a good 5 feet before the masked ANBU could get up. Naruto slammed his foot into the back of the person. "Now why don't you tell me why you're watching me?" said Naruto as he kicked the person, sending them straight into a tree 5 feet away. Naruto walked up to the person who was now trying to stand up with the help of the tree, only for Naruto to lift him off his feet and slam him against the tree. As Naruto looked at the person, the mask fell off the face of the ANBU to reveal a face that showed no emotion and a look that had no soul in their eyes. Before Naruto could get any questions out of the person, he was kicked away and the ANBU's shoe shined away. "Who the hell was that?" asked Naruto to himself before he walked over to the mask on the ground and picked it up. It was a mask with the kanji for root on it. Naruto didn't know why, but he started to feel uneasy about the nameless person. He had never seen a mask like this before. It was of Konoha make, but normally Konoha had animal masks, not faceless one with the word root on them. Why did his life have to be so hard? Naruto suddenly felt weak. He had used a lot of chakra to augment himself to where he was able to move that fast and hit that hard. The cloak may have made him faster after he took it off, but still the drain was horrible. Naruto decided he'd lay on the ground and rest for a bit, but before he even laid there for 5 seconds he fell asleep. The combined day of training and low chakra finally taking its toll on Naruto as the sun began to set. With Hinata. Hinata was once again fighting her father, a brutal man who didn't hold back. However, he was being excessively brutal today. She had slipped into her mother's stance to fight her father. When she did, her father's eyes glowed with anger at her form. After an hour of fighting and defending from her father's attack, he had left several bruises over Hinata's body, her breath ragged. Even some of the ones she defended left bruises. She had never stayed up this long or taken this kind of beating before. Her father was barely holding back. Half her chakra points were closed. Some of the attack had actually caused her to cough up some blood. As she took a ragged breath and tried to step out of the ring, she found that her father had grabbed her hand, pulled her back, and backhanded her across the face. As she fell to the floor, her father peered down at her, and with disgust in his voice said, "You are never to use that style again. It is not the Hyuga style. It is a disgrace, and all who use it are a disgrace. Nor are you to leave a spar without my consent first." This, however, angered Hinata. "Mother taught me this. I am no disgrace." Hinata growled out with venom and hate in her voice. "You and your mother are a disgrace," said Hayashi as he walked away from his bruised and battered daughter. Hinata slowly rose to her feet, and pain shot through her as her body ached with pain from the bruises that littered her body. As Hinata limped to her room, she took a shower to relax her muscle and help her body feel better after the beating she had received. As she disrobed, you could see large dark spot all over her body. He had not been kind the last few weeks. Some old bruises were still tinted yellow. As the water slowly went down her body, she felt her muscles loosen and some of the pain lessen. Water washed over that bruised and pained body. The only thing that seemed to be going her way was that Naruto had been placed with her. She sometime wondered if Naruto had never become her friend, would she still have a severe stuttering problem and be afraid to hurt people? She supposed she would never now. As she slowly got out of the shower and dried herself off softly as not to make her bruises ache with pain from simple contact. After she got dressed, she decided wear a short-sleeved black shirt that hugged her body and black ANBU-style pants on each sleeve. She had lavender spiral on them. Think Naruto's old jumpsuit spiral on the back, except smaller, and on her sleeve or near her shoulder. As she slipped out her window to go see Naruto getting out of the compound undetected, she went first to Naruto's home only to find it empty, so she decided to go to their training ground. The night sky filled with stars. She wished Naruto and her could spend a night under the stars with each other. As she arrived at the training field, she found Naruto's weighted cloak on the ground. She picked it up, and was surprised by the weight that it had. It was at least 4 times as heavy as his old jumpsuit. Her eyes widened when she saw Naruto on the ground. She quickly ran over only to find him in a deep sleep. She laid down next to Naruto only to still have his heavy cloak in her hands. There in her she felt something hard in the cloak and found a pocket inside the cloak, and inside the cloak laid a locket shaped like a hexagon. It was pure black with a silver snowflake in the middle. Hinata remembered giving Naruto this for one of his birthdays. She opened it to find a picture of her smiling with him. As she looked at it, she remembered it had been in their 4th year of the academy. That year had been one of Hinata's happiest. Naruto and her had become inseparable. As she looked at the locket, she smiled. Despite all that happened today, knowing Naruto always carried it made her smile. She put the cloak to her left. For once filled with a little more courage than usual, she scooted a little closer to Naruto and wrapped an arm around him and grabbed his trench coat, and draped it over her and him. Naruto was so warm to Hinata, and as she thought of how warm he was, she was slowly slipping into unconsciousness. With one last smile and a thought that everything she has done has been worth it just to be near Naruto, sleep wrapped her into a blanket as she drifted into the peaceful land of dreams. Several hours later, Naruto's POV. Naruto awoke to feeling very warm and his blanket unusually heavy and soft, and it smelled of lavender and wildflowers. Wait, his blanket was breathing and was holding onto him. Blankets didn't breathe or hold you, nor did Naruto ever remember making it home last night. Naruto opened his eyes to see Hinata's head on his chest and holding onto him, and his cloak draped over her and him. When he looked at Hinata, he saw a bruise on her face. It made his blood boil. Then, as he removed his coat, he found Hinata's arm covered in bruises. His eyes turned slitted, and his normal deep blue cerulean eyes turned a frosty ice color. Hinata, feeling the temperature slowly drop, awoke to find Naruto staring at her bruised arms with great intensity and anger she had not seen him display in a long time. It was so powerful his chakra had slowly started to leak out. Naruto soon found Hinata looking at him with worry as his blood boiled and his mind and heart called out for the blood of the person who had hurt his best friend, his precious person. He knew exactly who had done it. He had seen it several times, but never this bad. Several of the bruises looked really bad. Hinata-chan, your father did this to you again, didn't he? Stated Naruto, not really making it a question. His voice was calm and even, but Hinata could hear the rage laced within the calm voice that she knew he felt right now. Hinata nodded slightly. Come on, we're going to the Hokage, said Naruto to Hinata as they disappeared in a blur of speed after sealing Naruto's trench coat. Beta note, yo folks, this is Chapter 3. Read and enjoy. Also go to Flameless profile and vote. Chapter 4. The Furious Snow and the Drunk. It had been 1 week since Naruto had brought Hinata before the Hokage in her battered and bruised condition, but much to Naruto's anger and frustration, it fell under clan conditioning and clan affairs, so there was nothing the Hokage could do. Flashback, no jutsu 1 week earlier. What do you mean you can't do anything? Shouted an angry Naruto as he gritted his teeth. He was fed up with the way Hayashi treated his Hinata-chan. Naruto had seen how badly injured she was. Any more chakra added and she could have been in real danger. Hinata sat silently and watched as Naruto got angrier and angrier at the Hokage. Sarutobi frowned. There is simply nothing I can do. You know as well as I do that under the Konoha clan charter that any clan may train their members as they see fit, and open sparring, no matter how dangerous it may be, is allowed. I understand that you don't want to see your friend hurt, Naruto-kun, but there's nothing I can do, stated Sarutobi as he looked at the Hyuga heiress with sympathy. The clan charter also says in subsection A, page 32, see paragraph 3, any head of a clan can give protection and extend invitation to join their clan should they be willing to join said clan, stated Naruto with a smirk directed at Hinata, who was shocked that Naruto would allow her to join his clan. Before Sarutobi spoke once more. But subsection B goes on after A, saying that only clan members outside a clan may accept, but no such thing exists that would allow you to place Hinata under your protection or under your clan jurisdiction. Unfortunately, the only way for you to be able to do that is if Hinata were to be exiled from her clan. Naruto frowned at this statement. The meeting had ended after several more quotes from the shinobi and clan charters only to be shot down. So in the end all Naruto could do was heal Hinata. His blood's regenerative capabilities, when applied to her skin, made her bruises heal slightly until they were in the final stage of healing. Flashback Kai. Naruto gritted his teeth as he punched one of the training logs, causing it to turn to ice before shattering into a million pieces. Naruto had performed the Shadow Clone Jutsu and fought his clones with brutal clones gathered around the angry Naruto, each one cold and calculating, analyzing the original Naruto as he fell into a stance. Each shadow clone was reinforced with enough chakra for one to be able to go on unless fatally injured. He took off his shirt and cloak, not wanting to ruin them, throwing them to the side and making the cloaks sink into the ground. The clones all took off their own cloaks. The first clone that attacked Naruto came from behind only to receive an elbow to the face before being stabbed in the heart before Naruto turned to clash blades with the second clone, and 3 other clones joined in. 4 clones now fought the original. The sound of steel clashing against steel rang through the clearing as Naruto dodged one sword strike and blocked another before having to put distance between him and one of the other clones. Naruto flashed through hand sign seals just as a clone was about to cleave him in two. He called out, "T-Hayatan Ice Spires." Suddenly, the clone was impaled on spikes of ice that jutted out of the ground, and they continued on. After impaling the one clone, it went on to injure another by hitting it in the shoulder, sending it to the ground. The clone slowly stood but wasn't in good shape. The other 5 clones looked on at the fight. Should the other 3 clones be dealt with, they would start their own assault on the original. Naruto's eyes flashed from blue to silver to crimson before they settled on to a slitted ice blue. The other 3 clones circled around him, slowly sheathing their swords as the injured clone did. Naruto was so frustrated. All that he had achieved, all the power struggles he had gone through had only helped him, and Hinata, his Hinata, had to suffer while he was more concentrated on other things. The injured clone rushed Naruto only to receive a punch to the stomach and a kick to the face that made it flip backward before its entire body froze and shattered against a tree. Naruto had added an immense amount of chakra to his attack, and his attacks were becoming more brutal and precise. The other 2 clones looked at each other and nodded. The clones started doing hand seals before one called out Hayatan, Call of the Tundra. The ground started to freeze, trapping everything to the ground. A bird that had landed on the ground instantly froze before Naruto jumped into the air. The clone quickly followed. As the clone followed Naruto into the sky, the other called out Hayatan, White Wolf Rage. The clone that had followed Naruto had been sent flying back to the ground with a kick to the chest that would have shattered anyone's chest cavity. The ground cracked before the clone dispelled. A white wolf the size of a small house now charged at Naruto before jumping and pouncing on him. The clone let out a breath it didn't know it had been holding before a look of shock and pain came across its face. There, protruding a foot out of its chest, was a katana. It dispelled before it even fell to the ground. Naruto's rage suddenly seemed to increase as his entire being was suddenly engulfed by red yokai. As it spread, the clones went on the attack only when they came into contact with the red yokai. They were instantly destroyed. Naruto's eyes once more turned red and he looked at the remaining clones around him with a deep loathing, wishing nothing more than to destroy them, which he did in less than 2 seconds, rending them asunder with his now clawed hands. With no one left to fight, Naruto let out a beastly roar to the heavens. He hit the ground, making the ground upheave, and he punched trees, making them fall to the ground. Naruto's mind all the while screaming, why can't I ever protect Hinata-chan? Why must I be hated for something I had no control over? Why must those I care about suffer, while I can do nothing to help them? It's not right, it's not fair. It's not fair, growled out Naruto's mind as the yokai around him became strong, and slowly the field around him started to ice over, his affinity and bloodline being brought forth and mixing with the yokai. A seal on the middle of his head started to pulse and burn away before it burned away completely, causing the seal to break. As the seal broke, faded scars appeared over his body, reliving of memory. Suddenly Naruto was in his old body at the age of 10. Several villagers surrounded him, grabbing him and tying him up to a pole before one took out a kunai. The first slash dug into his skin before another, and another after several more slashes and cuts carved into his skin, every moment filled with pain followed by even more. His eyes already lifeless as the process was repeated over and over all over his body. He wanted death, its sweet bliss, to take him to end the pain. His Nico-ne was out of the village. No hope for a savior, no one left to protect him. Blood was everywhere, and for some reason, Naruto had not died from blood loss, and he did not know why. Naruto's body was littered with scars and bruises and bleeding profusely. He looked at the villagers with dead eyes. As the night moved on, shinobi finally came. Unlike the villagers, they lit him on fire, slowly burning small parts of his body at a time. The ninja were brutal and merciless, barely leaving him alive. Some had stone fists that bruised the skin and broke bones. One had broken his jaw and another had broken his arm. They pelted him over and over. Before the ninja had finished, burn marks, bruises, and cuts littered his body. Then came the masked ones. Dog, Hawk, and finally Wolf all stood before the boy before Dog flashed through hand signs, his hand covered in a chirping lightning. Hawk removed his katana and finally Wolf held his hand in the Torah sign. Dog brought his face close to Naruto's ear and said, "This is for taking my sensei and teammate from me, you demon." Dog brought his hand toward Naruto's chest and lightly touched it. Thousands of volts now coursed through Naruto's body. All this time Naruto's mouth hung open in a silent scream. This was it. They were going to kill him. After torturing him, Hawk would chop Naruto's head off and Wolf would burn away the evidence. Naruto's lifeless eyes suddenly turned ice blue. Instantly ice started to encase him, causing Dog to release his hand. The air turned frigid and the moisture in the air started to become more visible and more condensed, seeming to harden. What Dog saw made him shushin away. The kanji for ice became visible on Naruto's shoulders. The remaining 2 A and BU had no Tomito escape before the entire area froze, instantly making them large frozen ice sculptures, the blood in their very veins frozen solid. In the morning Naruto would be found severely burned, tortured, and in the middle of a field of ice. The power he had was dangerous. This needs to be wiped from his mind, was all Naruto heard a voice say before the memory faded. Memory over. The energy slowly started to leave Naruto as he let the chakra be pushed forward. fueling his bloodline to continue covering the field in ice until he could no longer keep the red chakra within him. Tears streamed down his face, freezing as he lived through a memory that had been sealed away in him. Drained of all his energy and strength, he fell to his knees, tears still streaming down his face. Some light scars had obviously been covered up by the seal as well, since a few now seemed to mar his tanned skin. The seal had obviously been placed on him by someone whom seemed to know a lot about seals. At the time Naruto fell to his knees, Hinata had walked into the clearing to find Naruto looking like his whole world had been shattered. He had fought to have her removed from her abusive family, and placed under his clan's protection. Although he had failed, he had still fought for her. Hinata went to Naruto, who looked at her with eyes that were lost and held barely any light in them. At this sight, Hinata hugged Naruto and he broke in her arms. He grabbed onto her and let out a scream of sadness, hurt, and betrayal. Sarutobi had sealed away a painful memory, and for what? So he wouldn't hate those stupid villagers? So he could still be the village's lovable little punching bag. Yet all he thought of was Hinata. Hinata-chan, I'm so sorry I couldn't do anything for you. All that I have done, all the strength I've gained, nothing's changed. I still can't protect you or make you happy. You must hate me for all the stuff you have to endure because of me," said Naruto, his soul shattered. Hinata slapped Naruto as hard as she could, tears shining in her eyes. Naruto felt tears on his shoulders. Hinata had started silently sobbing on his shoulder. "Don't ever say that again, Naruto-kun. You have been there for me when my family has not. You have been my dearest and greatest friend. I don't know what I would have become without you by my side. All this time you have held me up, made me stronger, and I would not trade a single second of our time together for anything in the world." Naruto was stunned and not used to receiving a hug filled with such warmth from someone. He held on to her and let this moment burn into his mind. This was something he wanted to imprint into his memories forever. Hinata. He felt a warm sensation spread through him, a fire and strength he didn't understand, and he felt as long as he could stay like this with Hinata, everything would be alright. There was nothing and no one but Hinata and himself in the world. "I'm so sorry, Hinata-chan. I don't know what came over me. After all I've learned, I thought I could protect you, and it's just so hard to see there is still nothing I can do to protect those I care about more than anything in the world," said Naruto, not noticing the small blush that covered her face. "Naruto-kun, you already do more than you could possibly imagine," said Hinata as she released Naruto and looked into his eyes. As they stared at each other, an intense need for something arose in both of them. They closed in, inching closer to each other. Pale lavender and blue eyes stared into each other, glazed over as they moved close before the loud caw of a raven broke them out of the trance-like state. Both turned a deep crimson and looked away from the other. Hinata quickly stood. Naruto looked at Hinata with a grim look. "Hinata-chan, you know Hayashi will never allow you to leave the clan. He has had many times when he could have exiled you, but I fear he shall not relinquish his hold upon you. I believe that it is time the real Hinata showed herself. I know we had a plan, but it's all for naught. Hayashi would sooner kill you than allow you to leave the clan. Hinata-chan, if you can't escape your clan, why not conquer it, become what you were meant to be, and remold it as you see fit?" Hinata sighed. She knew Naruto was right, but she had always hoped Hayashi would finally have enough of her and send her away or exile her, but then rumors had started to circle. She would be married off to some noble or clan leader's son if she didn't shape up by the age of 16. Hayashi surprisingly rejected this, stating he would make no decision until she reached the age of 16. But even she had heard the slight disgust in his voice at her being married off to some noble. "I know, Naruto-kun," Hinata said with a sullen face. "Oh, Naruto-kun, Yugao-sensei told me we have a mission tomorrow. Something about it being our first C-rank mission to the Land of Waves. I have to go home and get packed for a month-long trip. Yugao-sensei told me to tell you to be by the west gate at 8, said Hinata as she dashed home. Naruto put back on his clothes and gathered all his remaining things once Hinata had left. So much had happened in the last week. Naruto disappeared in a flash of snow before reappearing in his house in his own bedroom. He walked over to the bathroom connected to his room and slowly started to discard his clothes, and as everything fell to the floorboards gave a creak of protest at their newly added weight. As he stepped into the shower and let the warm water wash over his now scarred body, he was surprised he had never had scars before. It must have modified the memory seal they had placed on him to also act as a sort of advance henge as well, so that it could cover up any scars he had gotten. Most of them were barely even noticeable. Naruto, knowing that Yuki was inside him, had probably made the scars heal so well that the skin didn't really have a chance to scar that badly. Her yokai was a double-edged sword, a healer of sorts, and a powerful destroyer so strong it could heal almost any wound short of a beheading and having his heart completely obliterated. Funny that something that healed him also hurt him when it wasn't used for that purpose. As the water washed over his body, Naruto's face grew grim. He hated that he had to change his plan, but it was his only choice now, wasn't it? The plan had started to bear fruit, but it seemed less likely to work as time went on. It seemed that the fruit it had bore had rotted and decayed to the point that continuing on this road was meaningless. He looked at the scars on his once unmarred skin. Well, he guessed he couldn't really call it his skin since it was just a very powerful genjutsu. He stepped out of the shower and put some PJs on, then hung his cloak on the steel coat rack near the door. He had broken his original wood one when he had thrown his weighted coat onto it. For 4 seconds it hung there, before a cracking sound resonated from the coat rack. He looked back only to see the coat rack had suddenly broken and fallen to the ground. He was starting to think he should make a seal that stopped things from breaking under an extreme amount of weight. He sighed before he went over to his closet, pulled out a scroll that said Missions AB rank equipment, and put it in his kunai pouch before pulling C rank equipment out. He knew he wasn't going to get to use his AB rank, but he took it just in case he might need the extra kunai or something. He thought before laying his clothes out and got in bed as he thought of tomorrow, his first mission out of the village. Meanwhile, with Hinata at the Hyuga compound, Hinata and Hanabi looked at each other with Byakugan blazing. Hanabi noticed her sister positioning herself differently, but shrugging it off, she dashed at Hinata, throwing palm after palm of chakra at her. For some reason, she couldn't hit her sister. It was like she was water. She sped up a palm to the left shoulder, dodged and redirected herself towards Hinata. Then Hinata delivered a few quick jabs to several nerves in Hanabi's right arm, causing it to fall to her side, before following up with the same on the left. Suddenly Hinata's eyes exuded a deep purple glow before it instantly disappeared. Hinata shifted her stance and in an almost deadly fashion started raining blow after blow upon Hanabi. In shock and awe, Hayashi watched his eldest decimate Hanabi like she was nothing, a mere insect not even worthy of her. But as he watched his eldest use the style he had forbidden her to use, he suddenly realized that perhaps if she could beat her sister, the style wouldn't matter as long as it mixed with the Hyuga ability. He saw it struck heavily on nerves and tenketsu. He knew it was Hitomi's style. He lost it when his eldest had used it on him. The fact was that anything that reminded him of Hitomi made him feel weak, thus enraged him, but what he saw was something more. Hinata had added to the technique, and to show his temper now would cause issues to arise, so he focused on Hinata and noticed several differences in her. He looked at Hinata and saw a cold look in her eyes, one that no young person should have. It was the look of a ninja. No, it was the look of the Hyuga, thought Hayashi as he stared at his eldest. Hanabi was wobbling on her feet. Every fiber of her being felt like it was on fire. Every touch from Hinata was like a burn that only hurt more with each passing second. Hanabi looked into her sister's cold eyes. In a flash, Hinata appeared and kicked Hanabi in the stomach, causing her to slide back before falling on her hands and knees, coughing up blood. Hanabi took one more look at her sister. She looked up and locked eyes with her sister. The eyes that were previously cold as ice now showed sadness, and she could have swore she saw tears in her eyes. The light faded from Hanabi's eyes as darkness claimed her. Hinata hated that she had been so hard on her sister, but she could no longer act like the weak little Hyuga princess anymore. Her and Naruto's original plan had failed, there was no denying it. Living in denial would be useless. All she could do now was redirect all her energy into becoming heiress of the clan. The only reason they had even went with the plan in the first place had been because Naruto had been clanless. Now that he could actually start a clan, he would be able to be with another clan heir. Thus that night Hayashi and the entire Hyuga compound was stunned by Hinata. Hayashi was impressed. Where had this Hinata been hiding all this time? And with a very small smirk, Hayashi thought, maybe Hinata isn't a lost cause just yet. In the land of waves somewhere, thunder crashed and lightning flashed in the night. A storm brewed, clouds full of light that danced furiously in the sky. The night was not kind to the terrain as the lightning struck trees and the darkness boomed with the sound of thunder. A girl with long black hair and deep brown eyes stood outside on a roof looking out over the storm-thrashed terrain, a cold and devastating wind blowing her hair back. As she looked out over the field, she couldn't help but feel that something big was going to happen. Her eyes darkened and a cold breeze chilled the air around her as the storm blew harder and harder. The rain turned to snow, a flash of blood and ice flashed in her eyes before a warm breeze blew and the snow turned back into rain and the thunder crashed once more in the background. The girl walked inside, her hair slightly soaked, as she walked over to her bed and got in it for the night. She prayed that just this once she was wrong, that there would be nothing coming, that this feeling was just that, a feeling. Nothing more would come, nothing more would make her restless. The darkness claimed her as the lightning once more flashed outside Naruto's house. Dawn. It was now 6:30. As Naruto got up, he couldn't help but feel a little excited. He walked over to his window and opened it to let in some fresh air. A black blur flashed past Naruto and he quickly turned only to be slammed up against the wall, his bare back pressed against the wall, and there, almost as big as a bear, was a panther with yellow slitted eyes that showed no emotion. It peered deep into the eyes of Naruto. Naruto looked dead into its eyes, his own turning slitted and silver for a moment, morphing back and forth between oceanic blue. As the two locked eyes after only 10 seconds, Naruto's eyes settled on the silver-slitted eyes and the panther's slowly changed to be identical. The panther let go of Naruto. Before she kneeled before him, or as close to kneeling a panther could get. Wielder of the blade of Frozen Dragon, we, of the Panther clan, who have forever pledged our loyalty to those who hold the sword of the Frozen Dragon, we, the Panthers, are at your service. Please call me Natsuhime. A scroll poofed into existence in front of the panther. Naruto looked at the scroll and noticed only one name on the scroll: Koten Uzumaki. Naruto's eyes widened to epic proportions. As Naruto touched the name, the world around him shifted to the tomb he had found the blade in. You may not know this, young swordsman, but that blade you have is so much more than it appears. She is wild and hard to tame. To hold her in your possession is amazing in and of itself, spoke a man as he stepped out of the shadows. There standing in front of Naruto was his hero, his idol, and the man he hoped to surpass in every way. His tied-back red mane was streaked with the gray of experience, and seemed to flow fluidly as he walked. He was clad in black battle armor with the symbol of the Uzumaki on his chest plate, and a dragon in the middle. Naruto scowled as he looked at the symbol, but the man just smiled. His dark green eyes gleamed with a knowing look as if he knew who held his blade. I'm sorry that I cannot see you, as you surely know by now. You hold my finest piece of work. It was my most perfect creation. It took countless hours and several days and years to create. My only regret is that I cannot pass it on to my children. They have grown arrogant and power-hungry. We, the proud Uzumaki, will drown in the sea of our own pride and arrogance. I fear we will one day fall to ruin after only just now being united, said the suddenly older-looking Uzumaki. The gleam in his eyes seemed to suddenly lack the luster they had shown only a moment ago. His face looked tired and his eyes sunken in. This man looked older. The gray in his hair seemed more pronounced. Through the forging of that blade, I poured my strength, my soul, and perseverance. Only one who has strength to go on after all others fall would ever hold it. It has a soul all its own, and through my air I have tried to pass it on to them, though each tried to lift the blade they could not. Those with the strength of thousands could not unsheathe it. I congratulate you for having accomplished what no other has been able to do in my lifetime. I have lived a long time even by Uzumaki standards. 157 years I have walked this world. I have united a clan that was once divided and helped create a village where several clans live. Yet regret grips my soul. I fear for the welfare of my village Yuzushiogakure. I fear that their arrogance will eventually lead to their downfall. I was their leader, and yet I could find no one to take my mantle as Yuzukage. I hope my vision is wrong just this once. I hope that my old age has caught up with me. I fear lightning and rocks will rain down upon them. You now wield Taketsu Hana. I have no doubt that you will one day do what I could not. I ask that you take on the Panthers, young warrior. They were my dearest friends. I am sorry, young warrior, but there is one more thing you must do to wield Taketsu Hana. You must fight with her against him, said the aged Uzumaki as he pointed to a pile of bones that slowly began to tremble and connect. A skeleton formed, and in its hand formed a blade with a red scabbard. Tan muscle and skin slowly grew over the bones, and hair as red as fire ran wild down the tan-skinned man's back. Wide eyes stared at him, almost as if glowing and peering into his soul. What Naruto saw stunned him. Suddenly the air felt suffocating. He backed up into a hard stone wall, his eyes widening as he ran his hand across the stone. It felt real. What was happening was no longer a simple vision, and it felt like no genjutsu he had ever heard of. Naruto, having noticed all of this was real, now stared at the now fully formed man clad in red armor. He was 6'7" in stature, with eyes as cold as the frozen north that stared at Naruto. Red fiery hair spiked out in all directions that looked more like fur than hair, wild and untamable. What stood out most to Naruto was the blade sheath he held, though before he could say anything the man spoke. You are the wielder of my father's blade, Taketsu Hana. It could never follow my will. How could a child hold such a powerful weapon when I could not? Spoke the man as drew a blade that shined a deep red. Draw Taketsu, young warrior, and tell me your name so I may sear the name of the boy whom my father's blade has chosen wrong into my mind. Prepared to face Sora Uzumaki, son of Koten Uzumaki. I am the Nairo Akuma Yaiba, and I deem you unworthy of Taketsu. snarled Uzumaki. I am Naruto Uzuten, son of no one, and you have made the worst mistake of your afterlife, said Naruto as he drew his blade, the white blade almost seeming to glow. Naruto and Sora disappeared before the blades clashed, sending sparks flying between them. The white eyes of Sora gave away nothing as Naruto could not peer into those empty eyes. It seemed like they were trying to draw in his soul to breathe life back into the corpse warrior. Naruto would push harder and put more chakra into his legs, trying to go faster only to be matched time and time again. Naruto couldn't understand it. This man was amazingly strong and fast. Shockwaves were created from their blades clashing as sparks flew into existence, as the blades fought for dominance. Naruto knew this man was stronger. His hands trembled with every strike, and the faster he went, the faster Sora went. Naruto went to block a horizontal slash only to find that Sora disappeared, reappearing behind Naruto, a slash coming across Naruto's back, a spray of blood flooding out of the wound. Naruto quickly whirled around, disappeared, flashing away several times, finally going at his full speed. He felt his speed increased further, and his eyes flashed silver. Sora seemed to slow down. Naruto went immediately on the offensive. Every attack seemed to become stronger. Naruto slashed Sora's arm, causing him to disappear and reappear a good distance away, only for Naruto to be right next to him, sending a fist into his face, making him fly back. Sora righted himself in the air just in time for him to clash blades with Naruto again. Naruto and Sora both sheathed their blades and spoke in perfect unison. Soaring heaven, let your ice reign supreme from the field to the tundra. Secret art of the falling snow, frozen terror. The two unleashed massive creatures of pure chakra, Naruto, a giant fox of ice, and Sora, what looked like a tiger of swirling chakra. As they clashed, the fox broke through only to fall apart a few feet from Sora. Naruto looked to Sora only to see red eyes into the pupil, rage clearly written all over his face. Sora disappeared but suddenly reappeared, a look of shock on his face as a fist was planted in his stomach. He lost hold of his sword before he was sent soaring into the air, Naruto jumping after him. Enough! Shouted Sora before he righted himself in mid-air, and then he kicked Naruto to the ground. Seals suddenly appeared around Sora, neck glowing red. His flesh peeled away and bone now showed where skin and muscle had been. I refuse to accept this. That blade is rightfully mine. Mine! It's mine! Shouted Sora as he reached Naruto, and went to grab the blade. As he reached for the hilt, his hand passed right through it, disintegrating before he too disintegrated, a look of rage and anger still on his face as he disappeared. Once again Koten Uzumaki appeared. Well done, young warrior. You have demonstrated great strength to stand up to my son for so long. For one to still live with light injuries shows me that you are worthy. If your determination had wavered at all, the sword would have turned on you, but instead it helped you. So curious, she seems to have grown attached to her new wielder. Boy, with my blessing, take her with you. Remember, Naruto Uzuten, never give up, said Koten Uzumaki, a small smile crossing his face. Naruto was shocked. Hadn't he said he couldn't see him? Did this mean all of this hadn't been a simple genjutsu seal? That knowing smile was still on his face as he slowly faded. It was nice to meet you, Naruto. I leave Yuzu to you, my young friend, said the quickly disappearing body of Koten as a blue swirl slowly appeared on Naruto's left hand before fading into his skin. What was going on? Before Naruto could ask anything, he was in his room, his wounds already gone, and the panther staring at him. You met him and his arrogant first son, did you not? You were given a trial that none who have ever had the blade before you have passed, and they faded from this world years ago. 2 others have tried and failed, their minds wiped of the existence of such a blade and to never to see it again. You are special, young one, to have completed that. You must have shown something not seen for 2 centuries. We were the first to form a village before Hashirama Senju was even a thought in his parents' minds. We had 5 clans and it was coming along nicely. Sadly, we grew arrogant in our times of peace. After Konoha was built, a great era came of trade and alliances. But sadly, in one of the shinobi wars, for fear of our great power and our seals, all our jutsu technology, everything was lost. Only one copy remains, and that is with us, the Panthers, to give to those who are worthy. Naruto, you are not yet ready for our jutsu, but when you become strong enough to become Uzukage, we shall give you what we have. The warrior you fought was Chunin at most. He died early because of his arrogant nature in a battle. I am glad we once more have a summoner, so please, Naruto, it is time you sign the contract, said Natsuhime. Naruto bit down on his thumb and clenched it into a fist before placing his hand on the paper. His name appeared and the panther smiled. You are now our summoner, Naruto. Natsuhime told him before telling him that hand seals he needed. She then poofed away. Naruto looked over at the clock and found it was only 10 after 7. It seemed as if he had fought for at least 30 minutes and talked to Koten close to another half hour, yet only 45 minutes had passed. Naruto quickly got into the shower, then jumped out and threw on a fresh set of clothes before he set out to the gate with a deep and thought look on his face. Naruto found Hinata at the gate 15 minutes later, both of them with only their ninja pouches that held their scrolls with all their stuff in them. Naruto was good enough at sealing to at least make a basic scroll. He had just started making them a month ago, and so far they had turned out great. He was still too afraid to do anything about the seal on himself. He was sure that the seal on himself was so complex it had to have a key, and it was dangerous to mess with seals as powerful as the Reaper Death seal without the key or without knowing right down to the last detail what the seal did. And so far Naruto knew there was more than a total of 6 seals that were combined to make the seal that imprisoned Yuki. Naruto sighed as he walked up to Hinata. Hinata noticed that Naruto seemed to be in very deep thought as he stood next to her. She was about to ask what was bothering him when Yugao appeared with a man with gray hair, with a bottle of sake and a strong odor of booze on him. The bottle had obviously not been the only one he had today, as the stench was almost unbearable to the teens. I ask for real ninja and the Hokage gives me a girl and 2 brats that look like they would wet themselves at the first sign of trouble. One looks like she is blind and the other looks like he will get himself killed with the very blade he carries, said the drunken man as he eyed up the young ninja in front of him that now had scowls on their faces. Despite Hinata and Naruto not liking the statement, they were ninja. They were paid to follow orders and complete missions, not like the person the mission was about. Tazuna-san, I can assure you that Naruto and Hinata are very well trained and I am a jounin. A normal C-rank mission shouldn't be a problem, said Yugao as she and her team set out. As the team set out on their first mission, Naruto couldn't lie to himself. He was excited to be outside of the village. It was a chance to get away from all the hateful stares of Konoha. This hadn't gone unnoticed by Yugao or Hinata as they saw Naruto with a real smile on his face he rarely showed to anyone. It was like as soon as they stepped out of the village, all his problems had disappeared, causing Hinata and Yugao to smile at the blonde. They had walked for several hours and were pretty far from Konoha only to notice a puddle in the middle of the road. Naruto looked to the sky and noticed clear skies, and the ground near the puddle was too dry. It had obviously not rained in weeks in this particular area, but Naruto passed the puddle, as did Hinata and Yugao. 2 men slowly rose out of the puddle before rushing at Yugao with a shuriken chain wrapping around her before they jerked hard and shredded her to bits. They immediately went after Tazuna, but were stopped when Hinata and Naruto launched several kunai and shuriken aimed at the 2 ninja that they had managed to dodge by the skin of their teeth. Only after moving to go in for the kill did they notice the chain connected to their gauntlets was fastened tight to a tree by several kunai and shuriken. The chain was released and Naruto and Hinata were forced to move fast as Naruto vanished and kicked his opponent in the face, disorienting the man before drawing his sword, only for his sword to meet with steel claws that sent sparks flying as the 2 weapons clashed. Naruto pushed against the man's claws only for the man to suddenly duck under the blade before receiving a vicious kick to send the man flying into a tree. Just as the man went to attack, ninja wire suddenly surrounded him before being pulled tight and causing him to be slammed into a tree. Meanwhile with Hinata, now close to the ninja, was finding that maybe a short-distance fight was probably not the best decision that could have been made. Amazingly, the man was actually pretty decent in terms of taijutsu. Hinata had just leapt back, narrowly dodging a swipe from the man's claw gauntlets, only to have 2 cuts suddenly appear on her arm, blood dripping from the wounds. Hinata suddenly became very serious as the man moved at incredible speed. He took a swipe from the bottom right to upper left that would have torn her left to right in half, before she spun and ducked as the strike moved barely over her head, and she planted 2 palms that sent a shockwave of pure chakra directly into the man's heart, and the last thing he did was to cough up blood that hit Hinata in the face before falling to the ground lifeless. Hinata was trembling, barely standing, staring at the obviously dead man at her feet. "Hinata, are you okay?" questioned Naruto as he slowly walked over to her. She jumped at the sound of his voice before looking at him with an almost dazed look, like all of this just hadn't happened. Naruto knew what was going on. He had read about this. She was going through the shock of her first kill, to know that you had ended someone else's life. Naruto slowly wrapped his arm around Hinata, who now clung to him, burying her face in his shoulder where muffled sobs suddenly came. Yugao dropped from the trees where her body once stood. Now a log was diced up. Yugao had seen the entire thing and walked toward Tazuna, murder in her eyes with a scowl plastered on her flawless face. Tazuna noticed this look and suddenly felt an intense amount of ki. He fell to his knees and emptied his stomach. The intense pressure he felt was unbearable. And as he stared back at Yugao, he didn't see her, but what he saw looked like death itself before he was lifted off his knees by Yugao with one hand and pressed him against a tree. Give me one good reason why my team and I shouldn't leave you to rot out here. And don't play dumb, those are the demon brothers. If my team hadn't been strong enough to deal with their opponents, both Naruto and Hinata could have died. Those are Chunin-level ninja. Now explain to me, Tazuna, why I shouldn't kill you myself or leave you to fend for yourself after my genin team was just attacked by ninja, bumping this up to a mid-rank B mission. Growled out Yugao before dropping him on his ass and lowering her ki. Tazuna, visibly shaken, stuttered out, I am MMSS sorry MMYV village is poor and we couldn't afford anything more than a C-rank mission. Our land is controlled by a ruthless shipping company president named Gato. He appears on the outside to run a clean shipping business, but on the unseen side of his business, he has basically become ruler of Nami no Kuni. He has been bleeding the land and her people dry slowly. My bridge is the only thing standing in the way of it becoming a complete and total barren wasteland within a year's time. The villagers and the whole land of Nami no Kuni will die. This is our last chance to save our land. Even the nobles in the land will die within 2 years' time at most. His ships have cut us off from the mainland. I fear he wishes to make Nami his personal drug and slave trafficking headquarters. Stated Tazuna. Yugao looked at the man before turning back to her students. We should leave you here to rot like the scum you are. But first I must attend to Hinata and the demon brother still alive. We will then decide if we leave you to the fate in front of you that will most likely lead to your death, said Yugao in a voice so frigid you could almost see the air around her grow colder. Naruto, I need to borrow Hinata for a short moment, stated Yugao before Naruto nodded and Hinata released her death grip on Naruto before Yugao went into the woods with Hinata. Naruto was then told the same story his sensei was told by Tazuna. Although almost as angry as Yugao's sensei, he understood why Tazuna lied. The fear his land would be left to fester before turning to nothing and watching those precious to him slowly die through starvation or various other things. He understood those fears. Naruto suddenly unsealed a tiny black book. Demon Brothers. Names, Mizu and Gozu. Age 29. Biography. The Demon Brothers are former ninja of Kiri turned rogue during the Blood Purge War. They specialize in poisons and team tactics with minor genjutsu. Said to be very dangerous when together, they commonly use a shuriken chain to attack their victims. Though deadly together, they are practically helpless when alone. Bounty. $10,000 apiece, captured together $23,300. Necessary requirement for bounty. Both must be returned to Kiri either dead or alive, is up to the person who goes against them. Naruto looked at it again. They weren't very high ranked, but their bounty was decent for their rank, not to mention how easily they had been dealt with, said Naruto, thinking out loud to himself before walking over to the last remaining alive demon brother. The man had now awoken and stared at Naruto with eyes that screamed of rage and death. Naruto sighed before a small bag poofed out of a seal. I have some questions and you're going to answer me, or this is going to be the most painful day of your life, said Naruto as a creepy smile spread across Naruto's face, causing the ninja in front of him to suddenly fear the kid in front of him. Hinata and Yugao. Hinata now sat with Yugao in the forest, 2 trees to their backs as they leaned their backs against them. Hinata, tell me what happened, stated Yugao as Hinata stiffened slightly. Yugao knew exactly what had happened, but talking about it helped the person get over it. She also knew that while this was her first kill, it wouldn't be her last, and she should get this out of the way now. Hinata then told Yugao how her body had just suddenly moved out of instinct, how she felt her chakra blasting forth into the ninja's chest, causing him to die almost instantly, when his heart suddenly exploded inside his own body. Hinata allowed a few silent tears fall from her face before she asked, Yugao-sensei, does this mean I'm a murderer, a monster? No, Hinata, this does not make you a monster. This is who you are. You are a kunoichi of Konoha, and as ninja of Konoha, we have to protect those we care about and go on missions that may have us kill people. I know this bothers you, but you must realize if you had not acted as you did, on our mission could have failed, or worse, you or Naruto could have gotten hurt or killed. I'm not saying that killing is a good thing, but when protecting your friend or comrade sometimes it is necessary. You did the right thing, Hinata. You are not a monster. You feel remorse. Monsters are senseless beasts that crave death and destruction, and you are certainly no murderer. There isn't a person more kind or caring than you that I know, Hinata, said Yugao as she smiled at her student, whose tears slowly started to dry before Hinata wiped them away and slowly stood back up. She wasn't truly ever going to forget this, no one ever did, but she knew she'd be alright now. Back with Naruto. What's your name? Said Naruto before the ex-Kiri ninja spit in his face. his breather mask removed so to better understand him. Naruto frowned before he took out a pack of saban that was marked 1 through 11. They were a bright blue color. He took one out and started to run chakra through it. My chakra is special. I can create ice chakra by mixing my wind and water chakra together. Have you ever stuck your hand in freezing water? It feels like thousands of needles are slowly stabbing through you. Now how about we try this? You tell me your name and I don't stick this saban and run chakra through it, slowly freezing the water in your body from the inside out. Think of it like being cut by little needles, only 1,000 times worse. Fuck off, Konoha scum, said the ex-Kiri ninja before he suddenly found 2 saban lodged in the middle of his hands and felt chakra slowly pouring through them. His hands felt like they were being destroyed in the most painful way imaginable as he opened his mouth and let out a scream that didn't come before the pain went away before, returning again only to find Naruto had shattered his right hand completely. Now your name, or the next one will be a lot more sensitive, stated Naruto, pointing a saban close to his private area. Half an hour later, Yugao and Hinata had returned to find Naruto frowning while looking at a severely injured and clearly unconscious ninja, his entire right arm gone as well as a few other areas. After reporting all that he had extracted from Mizu, Yugao sighed. She knew Naruto didn't like interrogating people, despite studying under Anko for a short time. Yugao remembered the time she had taken Naruto to study under the Snake Mistress when he was younger. Set up camp. I know neither of you are ready to move tonight, said Yugao as Hinata and Naruto set up 2 tents as the sky started to darken. Yugao had taken Mizu into the forest and disposed of him, sealing his head in a scroll for the bounty on him. Yugao walked back in the clearing to find 3 tents set up and Naruto already in his tent. Yugao sighed again. He always got like this after going into his interrogator mode, as she liked to call it. Hinata looked at Yugao with pleading eye without having to say anything. Yugao nodded and Hinata opened Naruto's tent and entered. She knew they wouldn't leave each other's side tonight. Both needed each other. Whether they knew how much they truly meant to the other was yet to be seen. She had a feeling Hinata knew and was afraid of Naruto's reaction, while Naruto probably didn't even know he was in love with Hinata. Yugao instead walked up to Tazuna and explained that they would continue with their mission, but when they were done he would have to negotiate terms of how to pay them for the upgraded rank for the mission. With Naruto and Hinata, Naruto was already in his sleeping bag staring at the wall of his tent when he heard Hinata enter. His senses immediately hit with the scent of lavender and cinnamon. Naruto-kun, is it okay if we sleep together tonight? Asked Hinata. Naruto nodded before Hinata climbed into his sleeping bag with him. Naruto was a little shocked. He hadn't expected to share the same sleeping bag. But as Hinata's warmth enveloped him, he felt a sense of calm and peace fall over him, and the hardships of the day seemed to wash away. Hinata wrapped her arms around Naruto and laid her head on Naruto's chest, listening to his heartbeat. The rhythm of his heart made Hinata feel at peace, and his warmth, and the feeling of completeness made Hinata blush a little as she thought of her and Naruto being like this every night forever if they became husband and wife. Naruto's thoughts to travel to his time with Hinata and all the time they had spent together. He couldn't help but think how beautiful she was and how complete she made him feel. Something clicked just then in his mind, like his feelings made more sense than ever before. He had fallen in love with his first friend. He had fallen deeply in love with Hinata, not even realizing it. He wrapped his arms around her. The feelings had been growing since their first year in the academy together, and they had grown to almost unbelievable depth. He and Hinata just laid there not saying a word, just enjoying the feeling of having the person they cared most about in the world next to them. As the night wore on, Hinata fell asleep and cuddled closer to him in the night. Naruto, still awake, looked at her and felt his eyes growing heavy as he stared at the angel that lay next to him before sleep came to them both. Chapter 5. The Mission and Something More. Naruto woke feeling a pleasant warmth wrapped around his body. There also seemed to be an almost intoxicating scent that wafted in the air, the smell of lavender mixed with cinnamon. You'd get a free cookie if you know why I added cinnamon here. This was a scent he was all too familiar with as he opened his eyes and drank in the beautiful angel resting on top of him. He smiled and for a moment just basked in this warmth of this moment. Here he was in bed with his beautiful woman that he had been friends with for as far back as he cared to remember. Her peaceful face as she laid on top of him made everything in the world seem less complicated, less bothersome. Naruto sighed to himself before he quickly substituted himself with a clone of himself, and walked out of the tent. He and Hinata had been resting in the wind outside on this cool night, caressed his skin, and the stars above with help from the moon shone an almost ethereal light down upon the world. Naruto walked over to a tree and took a leaf off the ground and holding it between his hands slowly started to add chakra. A small cut formed in the leaf no bigger than one would expect from maybe a chunin. Naruto frowned at this. He had been working on this for over a year, but still he had only made minimal progress in cutting the leaf. He supposed that at least it was progress. His water affinity, however, was something else entirely. He could already draw water from plants, and a small bit from the atmosphere. He couldn't believe or explain how he had progressed so fast in that area, since his wind affinity and water affinity were both strong. After a moment, Naruto made a familiar hand sign and a few clones appeared. "Okay, you guys know what to do. Try to cut the leaf in half until you dispel," stated Naruto as he went a good bit away and took out his katana and started to dance, his blade flashing in the moonlight as he moved from one stance to another, imaginary opponents falling to his sword and beautiful dance of death. Not far away in the trees sat a woman in hunter ninja gear, staring at this blonde go from one form to the next, marveling in how he moved and flowed in his style. She had been trained by a swordsman, and the elegant dance showed her much of who this person was capable of. He was dangerous, there was no doubt, just from looking at him flow from one form to the next. Then there were the clones cutting the leaves with chakra, which suggested a wind affinity that if he had some training in would allow his blade to be much sharper and thus cut much deeper than a regular blade would. She had wondered what had made the demon brothers late, but it seemed they wouldn't be coming back. She frowned. Despite them not being the best ninja, she would have thought them to be much more capable. Then again, it was probably for the best. Her father didn't need weakling weighing them down. She drew some saban from her sleeve. Should she take care of this boy here now before they meet in battle? Then she caught a glimpse at his deeper sapphire eyes and froze for a moment in overwhelming warmth, the unsettling darkness, and the deep and soul-crushing pain and sadness in those eyes. That darkness, that sadness and pain, they were something she knew, something that she couldn't help but see in her own eyes every morning. She put her saban away only to see those blue eyes staring right at her from across the clearing. Deciding it was time to leave, she flickered out of vision, gone into the night. Naruto frowned at this. Someone had seen him practicing. How had he not sensed the person before now? They had seen him look at them, then disappeared into the night. He went back to his tent before summoning upward of 300 clones to surround the perimeter, and then went back to sleep with Hinata. He may need his rest, he decided as he drifted back to sleep. Tomorrow may yet present itself as an interesting day yet. The morning came too quick for Hinata, it seems, as she had to almost be pried off Naruto, but after so feigned not knowing what Yugao and Naruto were talking about. That morning they had decided to continue the mission. Naruto had spoken nothing of the hunter ninja he had seen at night. Going back to Konoha would ruin his plans, and he didn't need that right now. He was finally free from all the stares and the accursed council, and perhaps even the Hokage, who know where his true feelings lay. Last night with Hinata lay in Naruto's sleeping bag with him, either sleeping at the moment. So is it time, Naruto, to finally be free from the village? This mission gives us a perfect chance, questioned and stated the pale-eyed woman, laying her head on his chest. Yes, Hinata, I do think it's the perfect time to do what must be done. We may not get another chance like this. When we reach the town, we charter a boat to the ruins of Uzushiogakuo. We will rebuild it to be greater than the Uzumakis had ever made it, stated Naruto, staring down into the beautiful lavender pools of Hinata's eyes, and in the moment, for just a moment, Hinata summoned all the courage she had and captured Naruto's lips. The world stood still for the two young ninja as they simply enjoyed the feeling of each other's first kiss. The only thing that broke them of the moment was the need to breath. You have no idea how long I've wanted to do that, breathed out a breathless Hinata as she laid her head back down on Naruto's chest. Why'd you wait so long then? Said Naruto as he tilted her head up to look at his eyes and caught her lips in a short, chaste kiss. They wrapped their arms around each other and allowed each other to drift into blissful sleep, knowing that in that moment everything had changed, but they found they didn't care. They had something more to fight for now, not just themselves, for each other as well now, even more. Flashback no Jutsukai. Naruto and Hinata could not keep the smiles off their face today. It's nice to see Hinata and Naruto so happy, thought Yugao to herself. Everyone knew of the Hyuga princess's obsession of Naruto, but as far as she was concerned, they were good for each other. After all, they needed each other and deserved to be happy. Naruto was like a son to her in everything but blood and name. Damn the Hokage and the blasted council. May the Shinigami find a special place in hell for them all. Naruto saw Yugao scowling. Is everything alright, Yugao-sensei? Questioned Naruto, worried about his older sister figure. She was one of the few people he was going to miss when he and Hinata finally left. It's nothing, Naruto, just thinking about something unpleasant is all, said Yugao before she noticed a loud whistling sound coming from behind them. Immediately all three shinobi hit the floor, Yugao dragging Tazuna down just as a giant cleaver-like sword hit a tree and a man appeared on its hilt. Good reflexes. I was hoping this wouldn't be that easy. It's been a long time since I've had a challenge, and I was hoping to test my mettle against the blade mistress of Konoha, spoke the man stand on the sword hilt. Zabuza Momochi, a class missing ninja demon of the mist and ex-member of the 7 swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village. Leave Zabuza, my mission does not include killing you and I'd rather not have to fight you, just allow us to pass and get on with our mission, stated Yugao rather blandly, her eyes going steely as she stared the rather large sword-wielding man down. I'm afraid we have a problem with that. The man you're guarding, you see, I kind of need his head, and as far as I can see is you're protecting him now. If you were to simply hand him over, we can both be on our way, stated Zabuza through the bandages wrapped around his face. Naruto slowly drew his blade. This man was a problem. He needed to be removed from his way. His plan depended on the bridge builder making it through this alive and completing the bridge, so he had enough time to chart a boat as well as do a few other things that would make a lot of things a lot more simple. Zabuza started to laugh. Look at this, the little shit fancies himself a swordsman. I suggest you pull your student's neck off the chopping block, or my blade might lop it off for him. Naruto shifting to his beginning stance, only for Yugao to hold her hand out. Naruto, put away your blade. You're not ready to face this man. You are talented, but this man is on a whole other level than anyone you or Hinata have ever faced. Protect the bridge builder, but don't interfere, stated Yugao, only for a fog to roll in before Naruto blew it away. Yugao knew Naruto didn't like sitting on the sideline, but he needed to follow orders. At least the fog wouldn't be a problem. Zabuza scowled. This was no his playing field. The brat with blonde hair was a problem. His skills relied on the mist, but it seems he would have to fight straightforward now. Taking his blade from the tree, he dashed at Yugao with unreal speed, her blade in her hand in the blink of an eye, and their swords clashed with a loud screech, sparks flying off their blades as they clashed. Yugao had to rely on her unnatural reflexes. That blade was not for show. Hers already had a chip in it. Another clash like the last, and it would shatter at worst and hold out one last time at best, so she spun, dodged, and ducked whenever possible. When he finally overextended himself, and she managed to spin around and land a large gash on his back, blood spraying from the wound, only for him to jump back and land on a lake. Now, his eyes screamed for blood as he went through hand signs. Bitch, you mess with the wrong swordsman. You should have walked away, left the bridge builder, and I would have let you all live, but no, you'll only learn by being killed. Enjoy the next life, motherfucker. Water style, water dragon jutsu, came the enraged scream from Zabuza as the water dragon came roaring at Yugao. Earth style, earth wall, came a shout from Yugao as the water dragon slammed into the wall. Luckily the wall held, but a large sword soon cut through its weakened defense, and straight through Yugao a smile formed as it turned to stone and soon exploded. Earth style, shrapnel clone jutsu, came the voice of the cut and half clone as Zabuza's eyes widened and the shrapnel from the clone exploding tore Zabuza apart, only for him to turn into water. Yugao, climbing out of the ground, looked disappointed. This was supposed to be a simple C-ranked mission, not a fucking A rank worthy of Anbu. She sighed and scanned the area for Zabuza. He was obviously in the water. She wasn't going to fight on his field. That was stupid. Naruto, freeze the lake. I don't want any water in this area unfrozen, stated Yugao loudly. Zabuza's eyes widened as he suddenly started to swim for Th3e surface of the water. Naruto, already done with the hand signs, started to freeze the lake. Ice style, eternal sleep of the fish. The lake started to freeze, only for Zabuza to burst through a thin layer of ice, then suddenly trapped his body halfway, trapped by ice. This wasn't good. He was trapped in a block of ice that he very well couldn't escape from. If he tried, he was going to die here if Haku didn't step in soon, thought Zabuza. His prayers were answered when Saban came flying out of the trees and struck him in the neck. Thank you for trapping him for me. I have been tracking Zabuza for a long time. With his death I can finally return home. It has been a long time since I have been able to see my home, stated the hunter ninja Naruto had seen the night before. That was unexpected. If anything, I was sure the hunter ninja may have been hired to stop us, but why hire a hunter ninja when they only chase missing ninja anyway? So much for that theory, thought Naruto, only for the hunter ninja to disappear along with Zabuza's body. Yugao frowned at this. Tazuna, do you have somewhere we can stay while in the village? Asked Yugao as she eyed Naruto, who looked a little tired. The lake must have been deep, and if she had to guess, laced with Zabuza's chakra, which would have made it hard to freeze. Yes, my daughter and grandson have a spare bedroom that you and your team can rest until the mission is over, and she is an excellent cook as well, and anything we eat you are welcome to at our table, stated Tazuna with a smile. Naruto let out a sigh, happy they could sleep a warm home today. Not that he had a problem cuddling with Hinata in a sleeping bag, but he was sure it would be a lot more comfortable sleeping with her in a warm house. He hoped Yugao Sensei would let them continue doing that. When they got to the house, Yugao stopped them and pulled them aside. Alright, we have a major issue. I don't think Zabuza is dead. Hunter ninja disposed of the body on site, so for the next week you two will be working on whatever you can to improve. Because if I'm not mistaken, that hunter ninja and Zabuza will be back, and this time one or both of you are going to have to fight the hunter ninja while I take care of Zabuza. Is this understood? This is not negotiable, and Naruto, you will follow this order no matter if I'm in danger or not, stated Yugao. Yes, Yugao Sensei, I understand. Stated Naruto. He knew he had disobeyed orders when he blew away the mist that made him a target on that would be used against Yugao. Naruto of course knew this, but he believed fighting Zabuza in his area of specialty would end badly. If there is mist when it happens next time, you may disperse it like last time, but don't make yourself a target, okay? Stated Yugao in a soft tone. Yes, Yugao-sensei, said Naruto with a smile. Tazuna walked into the house. I'm finally home. Tsunami, we have guests. I'm sure they're very hungry. Would you please fix dinner? Asked Tazuna as he came to sit at a table. The group F ninja came to sit at the table as well. I'm so glad you're home, father. I don't know what I would do if the last of my family were to die. Stated Tsunami. What happened to the others in your family? Questioned Yugao, seeing pictures of a man and a young boy in a picture. They have left this world to be at peace in the afterlife. My husband and my son taken from me by Gato, both for standing up to him. Stated Tsunami. Flashback no jutsu. Inari, my son, don't let them win. Protect them with both arms. Don't let them waver. Said a man before he was executed. In the boy's eyes a hard and deep gaze formed from tears that had threatened to spill over. In place of the once full to bursting tears came a fierce look of fire, of passion, and of resolve. Father, you have taught me so much, and in the end you were made to leave me and mother, but it's time I took over as a man. Gato will never stop till he is made to stop. Stated the young boy as he walked off. Over the next 3 months, warehouse after warehouse was destroyed, burned, exploding, trashed by animal, or just generally bashed up, and the culprit a pitiful 9-year-old boy. What is the meaning of this? Is this a freaking joke? For 3 months we have been set back by a fucking brat. What do I hire you people for this little brat? Ha, destroyed rare pieces of art, not to mention hundreds of thousands in drugs and other things. I want the brat hung from a tree in the middle of the town for all to see. That disrespect and defiance comes with a heavy price on that no man or boy can make. Gato, having said his piece, walked off. The next day Inari was found hung from a lamp post in the middle of town, his body swinging side to side in the wind. Flashback no jutsukai. It's not something we talk about often anymore. My son and husband were brave and noble men, heroes to many and a source of great hope, and that hope has been extinguished with their death. Any hope that remains is the bridge, and you ninja who protect my father till his work is done. Stated Tsunami. Naruto, having heard enough, decided it was time for a long overdue sleep. Hinata had followed Naruto upstairs and had crawled into bed with him, wrapping her arms around him. She laid one hand on his chest and the other against his stomach. What on your mind, Naruto? Asked the Hyuga princess. I had thought that escaping here would be simple, but these people, their stories are tragic and hard to ignore. I was going to leave them to their fate, but my heart twists and cringes at the mere thought of doing anything so cruel to them as to rip their hope away once more. Seems to be far too heartless, worthy of something my mother is capable of. Stated Naruto with a hint of annoyance in his voice. Anyone that knew Naruto would know that was an insult he reserved for very few, but this complicated things. This would mean delaying a departure, and possibly running into Zabuza and the mysterious hunter ninja. They were no match for Zabuza, but the hunter ninja disturbed them as well. Hinata, first thing in the morning I need you to go down to the docks and charter ourselves a boat out of this place to leave in exactly 1 week. Give them 100 grand, 50. Now 50 upon leaving. Stated Naruto. Of course, Naruto, it shall be done, she said as she placed a kiss on the back of his neck. Naruto turned over to look at her, and was met with here deep pools of lavender staring back at him into his soul. He heart his mind, and they kissed as they had the night before, and enjoyed the feeling of the other's lips against their own lips. Naruto, breaking the kiss, let out a sigh of contentment smile as he felt one of Hinata's hands lay on his chest as she rested her head on his chest, as well her other hand running through his blonde locks. This was all she could have hoped for. Okay, maybe she had much more she wanted, but that was for later. She couldn't let naughty Hinata out too early. That would take all the fun of make him work for it, and she wanted this to be more than just some stupid romance that ended in disaster. She needed him. He was hers now, and she would be damned if it didn't stay that way. She had no delusion that she would be alone, but anyone that joined high harem was under her. She was the matriarch in this relationship. Anyone else was second to her. Naruto, I know there will be more women to join us, but promise me that I'll be your first in everything. Tell me I will be above that. Come after that, you won't let someone join, unless I approve, said Hinata, looking him directly in the eyes. He was shocked. Hinata thought there would be more women. He obviously need to build his clan, but she was basically asking to be the matriarch, the most powerful woman in his life, and he only had one thing to say to her. Hinata, you are the most important woman in my life. You will be my first in everything, and you will have to approve any of them, because if you don't approve, it's not an option for me. You are the one I have been for since I was born. You will always keep that position, said Naruto, a warmth flooding from his eyes, and there in those eyes Hinata found herself standing next to him through anything and everything to come. Hinata laid her head back on his chest, his hand going through her long hair. It now went past her shoulder blades. When she wasn't sleeping, it was in a ponytail. For the first time everything in life seemed right. She was with the man that had stolen her heart so very long ago, and now he was saying he accepted her as the one who would be matriarch to their clan. Well, it would be their clan eventually, thought Hinata. The doubt she used to have gone Naruto was hers, now she wouldn't ever give him up, he was hers. Naruto laid there thinking on what Hinata had said, and he was actually happy with his decision. If anything, he really didn't plan on having any other women in his life. This would make things simpler if that did come along later, he supposed, and besides, Hinata was a very good judge of people. Now all they had to do was worry about how to deal with Zabuza and the hunter ninja, thought Naruto, as he drifted off to sleep, Hinata not far behind him, comfortable and ready to let sleep take her into its blissful embrace. Later that night, Naruto awoke later that night, and substituted himself with a clone and walked off into the night, but not before leaving a note for Hinata. He was going to take care of the Gato problem now. He walked off into the middle of the forest, and created 500 clones. Soon a group of clones found a gang of Gato's thugs, and thus he waited. It must have been 2 a.m. till the men drunk to hell stumbled into the forest. After a mile or two Naruto saw a large building, so this must be his base of operations. It looks more like a mansion than anything. There's probably several layers of underground. I want 25 of you clones to henge into thugs and take these. Make sure to plant and hide them everywhere. When we are done here, I want everyone dead, no mistakes, stated Naruto as he handed them several explosive tags over to the clones, who nodded to him. The real Naruto walked up to the top room of the mansion and heard the voice of a short man. That demon of the mist failed, and he still expects me to pay him. What a load of shit. If he still expect pay, he's a fool. I should have just hired mercenaries in the first place. Cheaper and a lot less messy, stated the short man. When Naruto saw him, he couldn't believe this was Gato. He was even shorter than him, and he was 12. This man was Gato, really not what he imagined. There was also a large safe door on the other side of the room. Naruto drifted into the window and drew his sword, appearing behind Gato in a burst of pure speed. Listen to me very carefully. Remove your hand from under the table, hands on your head, or I will separate it from your body now, stated Naruto as Gato froze in terror but raised his hands above his head quickly. Any signal in this room has already been deactivated. You will open the safe, and after I take what I want, I will let you leave, stated Naruto calmly. Gato did as he was told, and when he did, Naruto stabbed him right in the spine and poured as little chakra into him as possible, slowly freezing him from the inside out. You said you would let me go. You have what you want, Rei. Why are you doing this? Stated the man in immeasurable pain. Why I'm letting you go, Gato, into the void of oblivion, said Naruto before he kicked him in the spine, and it instantly shattered and Gato lay dead, a look of pain and horror in his face. His clones should be done by now. He cleaned up the safe of a large amount of money. What a fortuitous occasion. He had enough to create a small ninja village, and then some. Maybe rebuilding Uzushio wouldn't be that hard after all. Naruto walked off from the place, but not before he blew it sky high. Even the ground 5 floors deep was blown away. All that was left were bloody smears and smoldering rocks. This was how they should have done it in the first place. Eliminate the threat at the source. That was when one of Naruto's clones found a large tree in the middle of the forest, and his smile split his face. Zabuza's base. This really was a fortuitous day. Now what to do? Maybe it was time to make a new ally for Uzushio. Chapter 7. To a New Beginning. Haku was leaving to go gather herbs for Zabuza, as the near death she had put him and rendered him immobile for a couple of days. But something stopped her dead in her tracks. There was the boy from the other day that was on the team protecting the bridge builder, and he was right in front of their hideout. She went to draw a Senbon, but Naruto stopped her in a blur of speed. He was behind her holding her hand. I only wish to talk. Gato is already dead, so your mission is now pointless. We don't have to fight anymore. I wish to extend an offer to your master that may be very beneficial for both of us, stated Naruto. Haku visibly calmed down, but looked at the blonde, suspicious of his intentions. Not seeing any deceit in his eyes, she guided him to Zabuza. He may not be at full strength, but he was well enough to handle the boy if things turned south. Follow me. Tell me, what is the nature of this offer of yours? Asked Haku. Well, first let me say this, it will keep the hunter ninja away. It will make sure you two will both have a home, and it may even help Zabuza get rid of the Emizukage within the next few years, stated Naruto. She led Naruto to Zabuza, who was laid out in a bed. Haku, what the fuck is this brat doing here, and why isn't he dead yet? Asked the ex-mist ninja, readying himself to kill the brat if necessary. He has an offer for you, father, that you might want to hear out, seeing as our former employer is dead, stated Haku flatly. Zabuza's eyes widened and a shit-eating grin split his face. I'm kind of disappointed I didn't get to end the stubby little bitch myself. What can you offer to me, boy, that I don't already have? Asked Zabuza. How about a place to call home, refuge from Miss Ninja, and over $40 million? stated Naruto, knowing that if Zabuza accepted he would be able to contact a few other people with connections to get his village up and running. Okay brat, you've got my attention. That quite a lot of money you are throwing at me. What do you get out of this? Asked the missing ninja. I want you to become a ninja of a village I am going to resurrect, and until I am strong enough to protect it I want you to be the leader with only me and one other person, outside of your jurisdiction, to boss around. When the time is right I will also help you kill the Mizukage. If at that time you wish to become Mizukage you are free to do as you wish, and you will have allies ready to aid you, stated Naruto, causing Zabuza to look at the boy as if he had two heads. Boy, you are strange, seeking out an enemy to join your soon-to-be resurrected village, but I will not deny the idea is appealing. I have a few old contacts that may be interested in joining a new village as well. Would they be extended citizenship? Asked Zabuza. The more ninja we have or people we have the better. I want the village up and running as soon as possible, so more people would be welcome so long as you are willing to put them down if you have to. We will not be able to let them do anything to endanger the village or anyone inside it. Now then, I need 3 weeks before we depart. It should only take a week or so to complete the bridge, so Yugao Sensei will be leaving with a few clones back to Konoha. At which time Hinata and I will see if the bridge builder and a few of his buddies would be interested in a large payday. Stated Naruto. You've put a lot of thought into this, brat. You must have thought about this a lot beforehand, even before leaving your original village. Well, whatever, it doesn't matter. Haku, grab a bottle of that sake, the one we got a while back that we keep reserved for special occasion, not the crap I normally use for business, like I did with Gato, said Zabuza. Haku smiled and ran off. The smile she had given made Naruto smile. For some reason it seemed so full of life. It was the first time he had seen her actually smile since their short meeting outside the base. She seemed more relaxed around Zabuza. Haku returned shortly and Naruto took a glass she filled in front of him, and she filled a saucer for Zabuza and one for herself. Now then, let us drink to a new day, a bright future, and to a start of a beautiful friendship. From this day forward we shall be as brother, as comrades, at the aid of each other. Should we ever need it, may this night bind us in eternal camaraderie, said Zabuza as he downed the sake, as did Naruto and Haku. Naruto, being immune from most poisons thanks to Yuki being inside him, quickly downed his, feeling the burn of the alcohol going down his throat. It went on like that for much of the night until first dawn came and Naruto left still buzzed and drunk. He had at least drank a whole bottle all by himself. Haku had half of one, for sure, if the red hue of her face and the dazed look said anything, and Zabuza had too. Naruto was sure he would have a heavy hangover when he slept this off. Naruto walked into the house to see an angry Yugao. Where the hell have you been, Naruto, and why do you smell like you bathed in sake? Asked Yugao. It's just mad this Sami French Yugushinsei, and he treated me too as home shaki. Slurred Naruto rather poorly. Holy log, you're fucking hammered out of your mind, aren't you? Said Yugao, already knowing the answer. She just looked at him and shook her head and sent him upstairs as Tazuna laughed, and Hinata smiled. She had to stop herself from laughing as he staggered up the stairs leading to his bedroom. He even tried to make a clone to help him get upstairs, only for the clone to fall off the stairs as drunk as its creator. Hinata, please look after Naruto today. I'll protect the bridge builder while Naruto sleeps of his night of drinking. Make sure he takes a shower first, will you? Said Yugao as she went outside, and Hinata helped Naruto upstairs and helped him into the bathroom, where he took off his clothes and took a warm shower before heading to his room. With Hinata. Looks like you had a fun night, so how did the raid go? Has Gato been neutralized? Asked Hinata with a knowing smile, her Byakugan activated. I take it you saw the explosion then? Questioned Naruto, managing with some difficulty not to slur this time. Yes, I did. You know, you should have brought me with you. That was reckless and could have gotten you killed, not to mention that happened more than 8 hours ago. What made you wait so long to come back? Asked Hinata. I managed to find Zabuza's hideout, so I figured I'd try and make some allies for Yuzishio. While we are going to be busy. He also gave me this file on a few clans from Mizu. No Kuni will probably make our village their new home. Zabuza has kept a tab on a few of them. The one I'm most interested in is the Taimo's clan, to have said gained their ability. From the moon they use water ninjutsu and medical ninjutsu. They will be the ones we seek out first after we set up a basic system up in Yuzu. Zabuza has agreed to stay and look after things while we go to Mizu no Kuni with Haku, his daughter. We will have to keep our bloodline limits hidden, seeing as it will be less dangerous for us to travel alone, considering he is a wanted man. Then there's the Kagaya clan. If we want to save them, we will probably have to hurry after the Taimo have been contacted. Zabuza says the Kagaya are highly violent and would be great frontline combatants. Since the purge has started, they've gone into hiding, but Zabuza has heard talk about them making plans to go on an all-or-nothing offensive. I hate that the bloodline limit purges are happening, but at this moment they are the only reason we will succeed in gaining some powerful allies, stated Naruto with a small smile on his face. Hinata saw Naruto wobble a little bit, knowing already that the alcohol he had consumed was going to make him pass out soon, and not more than a second later he felt himself slip into the dark abyss that is unconsciousness. 1 week later, after Naruto had gotten over his hangover, the building of the bridge seemed to pick up in pace drastically as H made clones to haul material. The news of Gato's disappearance had also come up, not to mention all of his thugs seemed to have mysteriously vanished. When curious villagers went looking for Gato, he found nothing but a large crater with blood all over the ground and Gato's head and from a tree. The village was celebrating and the bridge to the mainland was completed with neck-breaking pace, as every villager started to pitch in the fear for themselves or their family now gone. Hinata during that time had found a ship and a crew who were more than willing to take them anywhere they wanted to go, but the rice they wanted was a little more step than they had originally thought, because the land of whirlpools was very dangerous to navigate, so the final price hit $250,000, which was only a drop in the bucket to Naruto. Now, with the bridge built, Yugao and her team headed back to Konoha, or so she thought. 1 week after Yugao had left, Naruto had negotiated with Tazuna and had told him how Gato had died. After that, it was easy to get Tazuna on board. To mention, he gave him a really large budget and checked to pay him. The village budget was $500 million and he was being paid $20 million to make it happen. With the $500 million, it was going to be easy to make the village. With Yugao and Konoha, the instant they entered the gate, the Naruto clone and Hinata clone went to their respective home. Within 15 minutes later, 2 massive explosions rocked the village. Over half the Hyuga compound was gone, as well as Naruto's exploded in a fiery wave that wiped out everything around it. The elders and most of the main branch of the Hyuga were now dead, as were several shinobi that were just walking by. The first one on the scene was Yugao, that fell to her knees and tears streamed down her face. Her son in all but blood and her students had just died. The second to arrive was the Sandaime Hokage, who just looked on at the smoldering remains of the building, completely astounded. The Jinchuriki of Konoha, as well as the heiress of the Hyuga clan and half the main branch, as well as a few chunin, had died in a flash, and Yugao was currently catatonic as she looked on at the scene in front of her in utter horror. The Hokage quickly ordered Umbu to his position. I want ever available ninja searching through the wreckage for Naruto, Uzuten, and Hinata Hyuga, as well as any other survivors. Also want any Hyuga looking for other explosives throughout the village. With Naruto, a grin split Naruto's face as he received the memories of the Hinata and Naruto clone he had created. He was afraid that the explosion wouldn't have been enough. Luckily, he had prepared for that and set up several explosive notes all over his property. Only he could activate any evidence that it was him had been wiped out and the explosion, and he was sure the village was in utter chaos right now. Behind him a sword of ice was forming, one ready to cut Hai in half, and in a flash it cut him in half, only for it to crumble into ice, and the other person to have a blade to their neck. To what do I owe the pleasure of your company, Haku? Asked Naruto in a sing-song voice. I wanted to see it for myself up close. It's true you can use ice like me. How I thought I was the only one left with that Kekii Jinkai. Are you part of the Yuki clan too? Asked Haku with some hope in her voice. I kind of wish I could say I am, but I'm not. My bloodline is from a cursed lineage of betrayers and arrogant fowls. The only one of them that I can respect is the person who originally made the village I am resurrecting. You know, you could have just asked. After all, I have nothing to hide from my allies, stated Naruto as he sheathed his sword. I'm sorry, it's just been so long since I've been able to ask someone about their abilities rather than test them, stated the Yuki girl, that if she was honest with herself was a little disappointed at the thought she may have had some family still out there having Zabuza, as her father was nice, but she yearned to have some form of true family left. But something also made Haku wonder what happened for Naruto to say his people were cursed. Naruto simply took off his hood to his trench coat, his mask long ago tied to his waist again. He sighed. You know, Haku, sometimes family lets you down. Sometimes it's better to find the family in those around you that are truly precious to you. They are the ones that truly matter. They are what I fight for, and why I am who I am today, stated Naruto, a faraway look in his eyes. Haku stood there shocked at the words that had come from this blonde's mouth. Her own way of becoming stronger reflected in his words, and a past that sounded so similar to hers. Someone in his true family had betrayed him, and the pain was still there, buried deep beneath the surface of this hardened boy's face. You know, I had a true family once. My life was one of simplicity back then. My father a simple man. There was no hunter ninja or deadly missions back then for me. We were poor, but I was happy. The civil war has been going on for a long time, and due to Kekii Jinkius I lost my family, all because I had one, and my own father couldn't see past the curse. Blood in my vein, the same that ran through my mother's. One day I found a small thing of water outside. I found I could make it bend to my will, make it move and flow as if an extension of myself. I rushed to tell my mother to show her my amazing gift, but when I did she slapped me and told me to never do it again, that I was to never use my gift again. I didn't understand but listened to her, but it was already too late. Later that night my father came with a band of men and slaughtered my mother in cold blood. I'll never forget the look in his eyes as he cut her down in front of me. It was so hollow, like he had lost everything to live for. Then he turned to me, and as he was about to swing his blade down upon me, my ability activated and large spike impaled my father and the men with him. That is the first time I ever killed someone. I don't like to kill people, but I have, stated Haku, a far-off look on her place as she remembered her past. Naruto listened to her story and found himself comparing some of his life to Haku's. He knew the pain of family betraying you and of having no one at an early age. With Hinata, Hinata watched from the upper deck as Haku and Naruto talked. She had to admit that she was happy to see them get along so well. That would make working in a team a lot easier. Naruto was normally a very good judge of character as well, so it made it that much easier to trust Haku in Hinata's opinion anyway. She and Zabuza had talked for a bit, mostly about Naruto and why he acted, and to say that Zabuza was shocked by Naruto's story was an understatement. He couldn't believe how similar it was to Haku's thought. They were still different. They were both betrayed by family. Zabuza could understand why the boy had turned against his own village at this point. He was pretty sure he would have no love for his village either if all these things had been hidden from him, and his only friend was forbidden to see him. Not to mention he was told about the night of his 10th birthday. To her, that a kid who had just turned 10 had been tortured and had absolutely no idea why until his graduation. It was a wonder this kid wasn't in a mental institution, considering that would destabilize even some of the most mentally strong people. What is he? Asked Zabuza. He's a boy that had to become a man before he was supposed to. He is the reason I'm so strong, and he's a man with a vision, and that's what makes him truly dangerous. Men with ideas are always the most dangerous kind. After all, look at yourself. You tried to kill the Mizukage. You're a man with an idea, to Zabuza, stated Hinata in a matter-of-fact sort of way before she walked off to look over the side of the boat at the sea where several other boats were sailing near them, carrying the bridge builder and several other people as well as supplies for the village. She still couldn't believe only a short month ago their plan to recreate a hidden village seemed so absurd that it bordered on the insane. There was a reason not many villages made it past the planning stage, and that is money. Some villages were able to be formed because of the abilities their shinobi possessed, and that allowed them to create it relatively cheap, but Hinata and Naruto knew it would cost a lot of money and take a lot of secrecy, but now the money had taken care of itself. 5 days later, it was hard to believe that only a little under 2 weeks earlier Haku and Zabuza were their enemy. Now they were trading stories of their life like they were family. They had finally seen land, and after a day or two after seeing land they were able to make port, as the whirlpools had almost made the trip impossible. Only with the sailors' years of experience did they make it past the fierce whirling tides. What they found when they made port was a great pile of ruin where some buildings still stood and could be salvaged while others were nothing but rubble. As Naruto looked around at the ruined land that had once been a proud and busy village, he couldn't help but feel something foreign to him, something he had thought was something he never thought he would feel. He felt like he finally belonged, and that he was home, that feeling of after a long journey you are finally where you are supposed to be. As this feeling settled in, men and supplies slowly filed out of the boats and started to set up camp. In Tazuna's tent, Naruto, Haku, Hinata, and Zabuza sat around a table with Tazuna. On the table sat a layout of the village as it had been in its glory days, with several notes and designs altered, as well as what seemed to be a few additions to what had once been part of the village notes, and various other things covered the rest of the table. I will allow you to do everything at your own pace, except I want 2 things done as soon as possible. I want a hospital and an academy set up immediately. They are what will be most needed in the months to come. I want your men to be increasingly careful, as medical assistance may not be available for several months to come. Now then, me, Hinata, and Haku will be head for the land of mist. From here Zabuza has been filled in on how I want the village set up, and why I want it set up that way. People will arrive over the next year. Each will have a special marker with them, and if an area is available still, they will be given a choice of where they want to stay based on size, and I want them to have their living quarters built to their specifications within reason, stated Naruto as he looked out across the table. Zabuza, these markers will be to identify whether or not these people were sent here, or whether they are people who are trying to infiltrate the village for their own benefit, or for information gathering purposes. Any intruders are to be immediately interrogated for information. I give you free rein to do whatever you see fit to do to get the reasons for their being here. Torture is green-lighted. Keep this village a secret. No one outside of this camp is to know about it. Any threat to its existence is to be eliminated with extreme prejudice and excessive force. Are we agreed? Asked Naruto. He looked around the table. Everyone, including Tazuna, nodded. Tazuna, by the end of this the land of water will have a hidden village, and people like Gato will never again be a problem. Zabuza, the marker will be a symbol on their right arm that will require your chakra to reveal. Anyone without the marker is to be interrogated or executed on the spot. Let me again repeat, we want this place to be a secret as long as possible. We are currently weak, and need to be very careful until we are fully operational," stated Naruto, knowing that if they were discovered before that happened, no amount of money could save them. Time was the most valuable resource they had right now. "I have already notified some of my contacts, and they are already on their way here as they have nowhere to go, and Hunter Ninja would be happy to capture them. Only 1 or 2 are Jounin level, the rest are low to high Chunin. Missing ninja aren't really favorable, but considering I am one, I can't really say much. Anything to boost our forces will be helpful at this point," stated Zabuza in his normal monotone voice. "I trust that if they become a problem you can take care of them, Zabuza, as those you have contacted will be your responsibility. Remember, you're the one who has to put them down, should they endanger the village. I leave the rest in your capable hands, Zabuza. We must make our way to the land of mist, don't want to miss any opportunities," stated he. Hinata and Haku stood up and left the room. "The kid's a real piece of work. You'd think he's someone at least 3 times his age and 4 times as suspicious of any normal person," stated Tazuna as he took a swig of sake that he had with him as he talked to Zabuza. "In this world, that's normally what will keep you alive, loner. He knows what he's doing as far as I can tell, and he's right. The less people know about this place right now, the better, so make sure your men keep quiet, or once again I will be sent after your men, and this time it won't be Gato after you, it will be a village," stated Zabuza, only gaining a nod from Tazuna. On a boat, Naruto, Hinata and Haku all sat around a table with a map set between them. Okay, according to Zabuza, the Taimo's clan was last seen somewhere in the South F Mist country, and that they are in hiding in a village that they created themselves and made it look just like a regular run-of-the-mill town. Recently I have found out that the Kagaya clan has already acted, and it was reported that there were no survivors, unfortunately, stated Naruto a little sadly. Well, we knew we would have had to move fast, so it's not really unexpected that this happened, just that it's unfortunate. I guess we will just have to change a few things up. Not everything is going to go as planned, it never does. You know what they say, you can plan for 100 years, but when you put it into motion it never goes the way you want it to, stated Haku as she frowned a little. She had hoped to save the clan from complete annihilation, but then again it was a rather violent clan anyway. Hinata side ships really weren't her thing. She may have a water affinity, but being surrounded by it wasn't really that comforting. She didn't get sick or anything, it was just she preferred land. She was lost in her own thoughts when she felt a pair of hands snake around her. As she felt Naruto's arms wrap around her, she leaned into his chest, a little reveling in the feeling of have her boyfriend's arms around her. Haku looked on at the private moment, a little envious. She always wished she had someone that would hold her like Naruto was holding Hinata. She even admitted a little to herself that she wished it was her Naruto was holding. They were so similar, her and Naruto. Haku sighed and sulked a little bit, and started to mess around with her Kekii Genkai, making small figurines out of ice. Had moved as if they were live, and they were beautifully crafted. This one of her favorite ways to train in her element. It took a lot of focus and chakra to make the figures move. This was the moment Hinata walked into the shared room she and Haku shared. The small figures were of Haku and Naruto in an intimate position where Naruto was holding Haku like he had been holding Hinata, only in miniature ice form. Haku blushed before the ice figurines shattered, while Hinata only smiled and walked over to Haku, a knowing look on her face. "He's something else, isn't he?" asked Hinata, the entire time smiling, knowing what Haku is thinking. "You're not mad at me for that little show?" questioned Haku with a puzzled look on her face. "Why would I be mad, Haku? Every girl has her needs, her wants, and her desires. Besides, I know I'm not going to be the only one with him. He has to build his clan. He will have many women. I will be the matriarch, but I know I won't be the only one to help him bring about his clan. I can already see the connection you two share. Maybe with some time you will become a part of our small family. For now, though, know this: if you betray us in any way, I will end you personally," stated a very calm and happy-looking Hinata, a sinister smile creeping onto her face near the end. Haku was a little shocked. Whatever she had suspected, this definitely wasn't it, but then there was a thought that Naruto could be hers too, that she wouldn't have to put her feelings on the shelf. Maybe, just maybe, she could be happy with Naruto and share him with Hinata. Later that night, Naruto at in his room in a meditative position, letting himself slowly drift inward to a place of his own. To the depths of his soul he drifted, and he appeared in a place he had been before many times since he became a genin, and there, sitting under a tree, was Yuki, his partner and friends. They had gotten to really know each other, and it had been a while since their last talk. Naruto had taken her words and done what she asked, pushed it out of his mind. Though the thoughts still rattled in his mind, he knows she would once more eject him from his own mindscape if he pushed for the answer he wanted. "Once more you have graced me with your presence, Naruto. It is good to see you again if you have pushed that one thought from your mind," stated the demoness as she walked up to him and grabbed him in a hug, wrapping her tails around him. "Yes, I have pushed it from my mind, although I do not know why you refuse to allow me to know what it is," stated Naruto with a slight frown. Because sometimes freedom has a price that is just too high to bear, stated the demoness. In the middle of their talk, a red-haired woman with an eye patch, several scars on her arms, and face that didn't seem to really destroy her natural beauty had a bloodthirsty looking grin plastered across her face. She was wearing a battle kimono and staring at the duo. Well, isn't this a precious sight? Stated the woman. Who the heck are you? Asked Naruto. Naruto, let me to introduce you to you, Sword Hana. Stated Yuki with a slight frown, while the swordswoman just smiled a feral grin. Nice to meet you, master, she said before laughing at the look that came across his face. So you are what he meant when he said my sword liked me? Exclaimed Naruto in shock as he pointed at the feral grinning woman. Right in one, brat. I am Hana, the spirit that resides in your sword. You are a reflection of my past, master, and I find you interesting, so I allow you to wield, and if I find one of your children, so shall I allow them. Pray tell, when will you be making your own katana, master, so you may perfect the style of the falling snow? Asked Hana. I thought the falling snow was already perfected, isn't it? Said Naruto with a questioning look sent toward Hana. Figures that bastard didn't tell you. Well, you see, the style is actually meant to be a dual-wielding style. I am more of a defender than a fighter. I do have offensive abilities, but not a lot of them. You've already seen the second strongest attack when you sent that stupid son of his flying into the ground. Nice one, by the way, she said, making Naruto's eye twitch. He had been using the falling snow style only half right. Well, this explained a few things. Are you telling me I need to find another sword so I can make the style fit perfectly, but I don't remember him ever having a second sword? Questioned Naruto as he looked at the wild woman in front of him. Well, not many people did, and those that did were normally dead shortly after. He only showed people who were going to die his second sword. Normally I was all that was needed, and to be honest, you won't ever find that sword. It was shattered in his final battle. To be honest, it's better that you create your own. Sumari was very picky, and didn't take well to anyone even seeing her unsheathed. I guess it's one of the reasons that she was only seen by people that were asking for their own death. Stated the soul of Naruto's sword. How am I going to create my own sword exactly? Asked Naruto, a little skeptical. That's what I'm here for. I hope you don't mind, Yuki, but I need to take the brat with me. Stated Hana before they walked off, Yuki waving as they left. Naruto was brought to a part of his mind he didn't remember ever being in, which was weird for him since he kind of should have known it being in his mind and all. This is where all Uzumaki are tested. This is where they forge their sword. Stated Hana, who looked around what seemed to be a forge before Naruto looked around himself. In the forge a blue flame glowed as well as rods and various other shapes of metal laid inside his mind forge. You have a good flame and a strong looking hammer. As Hana lifted up a decent looking forge hammer. I shall put the metal in the fire. After that it is your turn. You must hammer them out. With each strike you will be tested. Depending what happens, your sword will take shape. Stated the woman that inhabited a sword. Naruto picked up the hammer and with a mighty swing it down on hot metal. Suddenly he wasn't there anymore. It was dark out. There was snow littering the ground, and around him stood many trees, but in front of him sat a lake frozen to the core. And the wind carried the sound of nothing. The world was empty, the fish frozen, the trees bare, and the ground hard. As Naruto turned around, the man stood before him. What dost thou seek in my domain? Speak now or leave. Spoke the hulking man. I wish find the power to save my precious people, to continue on my path, and defend a home for those that have not one. Stated the blonde. You show much honor in your words. Grab my hand and I shall test your strength. They shook hand, and in that moment a handle appeared in Naruto's hand. I shall be your grip that swings your blade down upon your enemies. Let not your conviction waver. Stated the voice of the man no longer there. Next a woman in pure white robe with eyes of pure emerald green stared at the boy in front of her. Stand before me and prepare for battle, she said as her hand turned to a blade of pure black. Hana came to Naruto's hand, and in the instant that clashed, Hana shatter in his hand, but the blade of the woman did not stop and sank into Naruto's skin. You fight with the strength of another. Show me your power. Stated the woman with a sneer of disgust on her face as she one more charger him. Naruto this time ducked under the vertical slice, dropping low before delivering a shattering kick upward toward her chest that sent her staggering backward. Naruto pressed his advantage while the woman was dazed and sent a spinning heel kick to her stomach, sending her flying sideways before she skid to a STO and brought her blade up above her head, blocking a fierce hell kick that would have shattered lesser blades and their masters' skulls. He was forced to jump back though as she increased in speed, ducking and dodging various strikes. She fought like a woman possessed. You are resilient, but that is not enough. You must be fierce, stated the woman before Naruto appeared behind her and sent a punch the middle of he back, knocking her forward only for Naruto to appear in front of he with a kick to the chin that sent her to the air. I am the blizzard that freezes all in his path, art of Uzuten, crashing heaven, shattering ice. He appeared above her and sent the ice-covered fist right toward her face. her blade brought up to stop him, his hand passing right through it as if not even there, only for him to appear next to her, hand buried in her stomach, blood flying from her mouth. The Naruto above her had been an afterimage unknown to her. He had deactivated a pair of gravity seals and thrown high coat off that now laid sunken into the snow on the ground. She disappeared after she hit the ground. A blade of shining blue silver lay in her place, and when he picked it up, the hilt and blade came crashing together, becoming one. I am the emissary of death. I rend limb from body and I bring pain, the wicked, a feminine voice called out. Naruto thought his trial was over, but then a fire appeared to high right where he heard whispers and talking and crying. There around a camp sat men who were eating, and a child in rag-like cloth sat near them, tied and gauged. Should we keep her? She's young, just like I like them. Plenty of time to break her in, spoke a man with little to no hair and no front teeth, his lecherous tone already making his blood boil. Till the other spoke. We should just kill her. I'd love to see her eyes as the life drains out of them, stated the other, a menacing glare sent to the girl. The final stood. We've already been over this. We don't do anything till we get the money. After that she's all yours to do as you wish, said the last man. In a flash every man fell over dead. Naruto walked to the girl, eyes filled with fear as he made his way toward her. He cut her free and took off her gag. You have passed the final test. I am your sheath that defends, a blade of vengeance and justice. The three spirits appeared and became one. I am Soromeya, and I shall cut the enemies of my master down, stated the woman. Naruto reappeared in the forge holding a blue-bladed katana in his hand that seemed to radiate power. Damn, will you feel the energy flowing off that thing? Whistled Hana as she stared at the blade in pure awe. Whatever she had expected, it wasn't this. That blade was something else, strong and dangerous for sure. This is Soromeya, and she is going to bring about my vengeance and protect those precious to me, stated Naruto. What if neglected? Naruto hates Sarutobi Council bashing naruhina. And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.